In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit arborcapital.io today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and over. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro AK, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org. Yeah.
They do flights and then they have people from the brewery.
Yeah, they just like, I mean, it's just from the first time I went there, you know, I feel like first impressions on restaurants are pretty damn important. Tenge, don't be shy.
Really?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Ooh.
Don't wait for us, man. You see, he was so ready, and I'm just blah, 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 blah.
Oh, nothing wrong with that.
Their mind's going to sound lame.
Yeah.
Well, you got the grapefruit, sparkling seltzer.
This is canned water.
What do you got going on over there, dude?
Electrolytes.
What
I have going on over here is
Spin
called
drift.
discipline.
Get a 12-ounce can of Discipline.
It only works in about half of January.
I know my wife and I were talking about, like, you know, the idea of going to the gym. You know, you always do that whole thing. I was like, yeah, I'll go in like March, April. Actually, probably be mid-February by the time everybody gives it up.
Well, tell us why you're not drinking adult beverages.
I'm doing dry January, but also because I just really want to get fit up for Winter Strong.
Yeah.
In February.
Did we talk about that when you're in here?
I think so.
Maybe a little bit.
What
I
is
don't remember.
that? Winter Strong?
Yeah, it's an event from a guy that I met years ago.
Sorenex, right?
He owns a fitness company called Sorenex. They build like the best shit that's like custom, any like Duke University professional teams, but they outfitted on J-Bear. So J-Bear it's super sick. Like it matches their colors and like it's all American made, welded in South Carolina.
All workout equipment, weights.
Yeah, racks, and,
dumbbells.
And they design a lot of stuff. They have a lot of very unique stuff. His dad started the business in his garage. It's a super awesome story. He's he's an amazing person himself. The son, Bert, his dad's awesome too. His dad was like into like strongman stuff. He really loved strongman stuff, and that evolved into like him building better equipment. And then Bert has kind of expanded upon that through like just network. He's like amazing at networking because he's just super.
Well, they blew up big time.
Super good human. Yeah, and they landed some military contracts. He works with a lot of military special operations guys, and now they're ridiculously
they're
big.
blown up.
And he's a big outdoors guy. So they used to have this event, or they still have this event called Summer Strong, where they just have like a meeting of the like minds in sports, fitness, training, you name it. The who's who of the fitness world is there. So it's like strength athletes, strength and conditioning coaches from college, professional sports, to military guys. They got speakers. Then they're doing like lifts and stuff. And then him and his dad are big outdoors guys. Mm-hmm. Like his dad has hunted their whole life.
Where are they from?
South Carolina.
Okay.
And so he wanted to bridge that gap between like the outdoors.
Fitness and outdoors.
Yeah, because he was meeting all these like guys outside of the sports world that were like more military, law enforcement type community. And a lot of those guys were big hunters. And there's some athletes that are too. It's not a huge thing because those guys dedicate so much time to their craft of sport. And so he wanted to bridge the gap between the two, because he was like, dude, these people are like similar. Like, they're alphas, and they just do two different things, but they're made of the same DNA, right? And so he was like, I need to make them meet. And so he created Winter Strong, which is like an outdoor event where you're eating game the whole time. It's crazy. The cooking's ridiculous. Then he's got like guys forging knives.
Can you look that up real quick, B?
Sure.
I didn't realize it was that extensive.
Winter Strong?
That's cool.
What's this called?
Yeah.
Winter Strong.
Sorenex Winter Strong, yeah.
So that's like your game meet party with like archery in the outdoor and the whole thing.
Yeah, because they bought this ranch. He calls it the ranch. And it's, a couple 100 acres in South Carolina.
There's Summer Strong.
Yeah, Sorenex Outdoors.
Nice.
But he's like, he's done Cam Haynes' gym now, Joe Rogan's gym. Mm-hmm. Like, so he's like.
Just full custom builds.
Yeah, that.
Oh, gotcha. I did see that on Cam's thing.
So he's like Volkortson. He's in like.
Okay, gotcha. I got it.
Rad.
So what other events are in the Winter Strong? Basically, like you eat, you work out.
It's not as much events as it is like they'll do like, he's got a girl that's won like Naked and Afraid a few times. She does like a survival type fire starting deal, like how to start fire with a bow and stick type deal. And so they go over some stuff like that. Then there's they'll have shooting classes there's a lot of athletes haven't shot guns. So the Volkortson provides these like super nice 22 pistols and 22 rifles. And then he's got Butch is like Leopold's rep for like military law enforcement type stuff and long range shooting. So he's teaching people how to shoot long range. So guys are like shooting 600 yards with 22s. And
it's more like a gathering classes.
It's a gathering. It's called a gathering.
Okay, it's not like so and so versus
no, but then they do an event that brings it all together. That's like run, shoot, lift event. Yeah,
gotta get Jim Patton in the red corner.
We have this guy with the
Budweiser, king of beers. Grew up watching that guy talk. It was great.
When is that?
February. It's like Super Bowl weekend.
And you're planning to win this?
What do you win then?
The event's team. So like, you have each team has an archer, and that's kind of the captain, I guess, because the archer is the only one that shoots at the 3D targets, which is the most of the shooting. Everyone shoots a pistol, everyone shoots a rifle, but the archer is the only one that shoots throughout the course. And the course is, I don't know, it's like 3 miles long.
Got it.
And at each 3D target, there's certain type of exercise you have to do before you shoot. So it'd be like kettlebell swings or anything.
Oh, so the challenge is to like be accurate and efficient, like worn out or having
while
reps.
Under like stress, heart rate.
Oh shit! So what you said you're doing 2-a-days? Are you doing like elite and gym training?
Yeah, elite
cardio. Yeah,
but I haven't started yet. I mean, I snowboarded today, so that's like a 1-a-day.
Yeah, you'll be feeling that tomorrow, right?
No, I felt great.
Really?
Yeah.
How was the mountain?
It's all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that whoever does their report needs to get a new ruler. I think his is in fucking millimeters, not inches. Well, they were like 14 inches. I was like, your girlfriend must think your shit is huge. That is not even in the realm of 14 inches. Like if you plowed it up.
From chair 3.
He measured the pile on the front of the snowcat or something. Like, yep, pushing 14 in. No, it was crusty, but there was some pockets.
Yeah.
As usual, you know.
Well, welcome to Alaska Wild Project, episode 97. Today we have in the house our buddy Aaron Tenge, Chad, Aurentz, and we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to chat with Tenge for a little bit, and then we're going to call Billy Molls up. He is the Modern Day Mountain Man. You can find him at the Modern Day Mountain Man on Instagram. He is a big Alaska guide up here. He is an innovator. I would think one of the main first guys that was putting out hunting videos, DVDs, books. He probably wasn't even doing it in the VHS days. So he's a big-time Alaskan guy. He lives in Wisconsin, so we're going to give him a call. I know we like to get people inside the studio usually, but kind of special deal here with him.
That'll be fun, man. We haven't done a full-blown...
I think last time we did was with Jeff when we did the call.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That was like the only one we did.
That was last one. Yeah. Well, and his, sometimes the connection's kind of tough. Down southeast too,
or it's lag or something.
There's just something. But I mean, we need to get more into it because I've had several folks that I've met over the last few months, and man, get you on. Like, well, I live out of town.
Yeah,
do it over the phone. I'm like, yeah. I mean,
it's not the same.
It's nice to get everybody in, but just for Billy to take his time and talk to us today, we'll take it, man. That's a win.
Yeah, there's certain people you got to just say yes to.
Yeah,
He's on that list.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, I listen to some of his YouTubes, watch them and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. He's got a bunch. He's in like 6th season of shows and stuff, and all the DVDs that are sitting on that table. He's like, here's all the
guiding machine.
Yeah,
he's a badass.
Well, before we get too far, let's make sure and keep the hype going and movement on BHA. We got the Pint Night Monday, January 16th, MLK Day, 6 to 8, Palmer Ale House. Got the pod, followers, supporters, fans. If you're around, come on out to the house, get some pizza. The BHA beer will be on tap from Bear Paw.
Yep.
Gonna have a keg going there and get a beer, get a raffle ticket, could win a float. Lots of giveaways. Make sure to tune in and get involved. It's gonna be a fun night.
Yeah. Actually, go to their page real quick. Go to their BHA.
Yeah. On Instagram or
their actual BHA Alaska page. I think it says all the prizes and stuff on there.
Yeah, we were just talking about Palmer Ale House, and like those guys do a great job between the outdoor concerts and all the stuff and the merch and the selling.
Yep.
They had Double Shovel, and me and my girlfriend went out there and worked the event, and they have they have like 4 beers on tap, so you can do a full flight all week long. And at the end of the week, Thursday or Friday, they'll bring actual brewery worker people there to explain all the brews to the locals or the people who have come out and checked it out, and give them a bunch of swag and merch and stuff. And it's pretty cool. You get to try a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, good shout out, man. Yeah, the house is dope.
Yeah,
it's got a good vibe there, and we got to meet Corey, the owner, the other night, and have a meeting with them, and welcomed with open arms, man.
Yeah, super
like,
nice
it's
guy.
Just all community,
runs
and
it well.
Yeah,
loves it.
I think it was up there. You passed it.
Yeah,
it won't like open for some reason. I had it in the last
slow internet action.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. They got a little countdown there, and you can click on
man,
the when, where, and why. So
yeah, go to the website, sign up for the gifts. I mean, the float trip alone, that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
They got some smaller stuff, some stuff from Fish Pond, some gear, some Mystery Ranch stuff.
Nice.
It's just gonna be a good little event. It's gonna be one of maybe several things that we're probably gonna do upcoming. As like, it's almost like gathering season, right? I was like filling out the calendar last night, and I'm like, damn. We got the Derby, we got the SCI banquet, we got the Wild Sheep Foundation, we got the meat party, we got,
fills up quick.
really quick.
Really quick.
Iditarod,
Homer.
Iron Dog, the Winter King Derby.
Yeah,
There's going to be something going all the time now.
do a Homer Ash Cup, do the hockey thing.
Oh,
and then
yeah, dude, that's
back.
Yeah.
We're doing McLaren right after that, and then I want to go with your brother out to Tailgate. Check that out.
Oh, yeah, you guys were talking about
sick.
tailgate,
It's
dude.
like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, I'll take a month off, I guess.
That's right. Tailgate's back now.
Yeah.
Back last year.
Post-COVID?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's cool.
I still haven't gone. I need to go check it out.
Yeah, because
Arctic Man's done, right?
gone, dead.
From what I've heard. So we used to do Toke to Dawson every year.
Yeah.
And so now we take like 26 to 30 people, however many we can room out in McLaren, and do a mini Toke to Dawson out there with a bunch of people like the Jalapeno Boys, Gilberto, and all those guys, and all these people that just, and it's great. And just take over the whole place for a weekend. It's awesome.
Talk about that a
fun,
little
man.
bit, the Toke to Dawson.
So the Toke to Dawson was a 200-mile snow machine. You'd start in Toke, Alaska, and everybody usually get there about a day early. So we'd like hang out at what was, I think it was called it's the Wolf's Den now, but the Three Bears own that bar and liquor store now, and then it was Fast Eddie's. So you'd sit and you get a meal, you hang out, have some beers, talk to all the people, live music or whatever, and then you'd get on your sled the next morning and ride. And then you'd have a chicken, refuel, and then rip over to Dawson, and they would open up the casino, all the Airbnb, the B&Bs, whatever. You got all your stuff and prizes and everything, and they would tow all the prizes back with the groomers prior to you getting there, so you don't have to carry anything back. They have trail sweeps. They had the sled dogs, which is like the Canadian version of the firefighters, had a tent with hot cocoa on a big open fire with schnapps if you wanted it. If not, there was older guys and kids or whatever, so they had the non-alcoholic.
Did you
You just party.
sourdough cocktail?
Oh, yeah.
Dawson's in Canada, right?
Dawson, yeah. It's
So
right
is there
across-
someone there like checking your when you cross?
Border agent, yeah.
When you cross the actual...
Correct. Well, the ending, you come into town and you cross the frozen Yukon River, which is the road bridge because there's people that live on both sides, and there's like dog sledders and all this. There's actually a guy that lives in the cave across from the thing, and he just walled it off, has a smokestack sitting out, and he lives in there with his dogs all year round. And we did this one year. It was 58 below zero when we left Toke. It was 72 below zero when we got to Dawson.
72
250 people signed up, like 170 something made it. It was so cold.
If the freaking fuel in the carburetor didn't freeze.
If you let go of your hot grips, it took you 10 minutes to get back that heat on the hot grips.
You gotta have gauntlets.
Oh yeah, we had gauntlets.
You gotta have gauntlets.
Yeah.
Just
You're not doing that
tape.
without
Oh
gauntlets.
yeah,
Taped up.
open face
Vaseline.
mask, going like 30 miles an hour because you're just you're just turning your side, freezing.
What's gauntlets?
Just like go over the handlebars. You put your
Oh, okay. Like
Yeah.
what you see the fat tire dudes
bike.
doing?
Yeah, fat tire.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But for,
well, snow
before-
machiners.
snow
are doing it
machiners.
first.
Yeah. And they're like furry on the inside.
Well, you don't see that often. That's more like the old man
Iron Dog.
trail rider.
Totally.
Oh, Iron Man, Iron
Dog, yeah.
Iron Dog. Sorry, boys.
Oh yeah,
Iron
the
Dog.
Iron Dog. You gotta have those because that wind is ripping.
Well, and you got to run thin gloves, or
Yeah.
your hands fatigue. The thicker your gloves, the more your hands fatigue.
Oh, because you're like trying to
Gripping
squeeze
It
harder.
takes more effort to hold on.
That makes
so
sense.
you run thin gloves,
Totally.
you can run gauntlets, and the heaters are hot as hell with the gauntlets on.
Yeah.
Oh,
because it's holding the heat.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and it gets to you
Oh, shit.
quicker, and you don't sweat as much through these big gloves, and then your gloves get wet, and like he said, all that fatigues you because we perspire, and that pulls moisture and heat away from your body, and therefore you fatigue faster. So you don't notice it. When it was 72 below, I mean, we had to stop and eat whatever we could because your mind starts losing focus because you don't have calories to burn.
So are the musher dudes
crazy.
more gangster because they ain't got the heated musher
No, but they
sweat
have
dog
those,
thing?
You've seen those gloves? Those things are like
they're not going 60, bro. They don't have wind
Going about
chill.
9 miles an hour, just clipping along.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, they get wind chill, but
But they're out there longer though.
well, and this whole thing, I mean, you leave and we're going 80, 90, $110 on the Taylor Highway, which is what's closed during the winter. They only operate one highway. And I mean, yeah, it's cold, man. It's 100 below when you're ripping 80, 90, 100 and it's 60 below, like he's saying,
How are you staying hydrated?
Whiskey mostly.
it's got a little water in it, doesn't
Whiskey
it?
don't freeze.
That's true.
Whiskey don't freeze.
I was thinking about whiskey, vodka, Everclear.
No.
You could drink it and put it in your
Yeah.
fuel tank.
Whatever
You're good,
doesn't
right?
freeze.
Totally. Like when we hiked Kilimanjaro, you take your Nalgene like this one and you flip it upside down so that the top doesn't freeze. So when you get up to 19,000, you flip it and then it's just sloshing around, but it'll freeze the bottom and won't freeze the top. You turn it open, drink, flip it around, and the kinetic energy keeps it from
Oh, is that what they
Damn.
water you out there?
like water in motion.
trip.
Yeah.
Mount Kilimanjaro, how tall is that one?
It's like 19,000, I think 350 something or 400.
That's the tallest peak in Africa, correct?
Correct. And
Yeah.
it's only like a couple thousand feet shorter than Denali. It's just, it's in a huge desert. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What country is that in?
Tanzania. And then if you go, we had to do yellow fever shot because we went up and over towards Kenya and went on the North Gate there.
Yellow fever shot? What was it? Like a shot?
Yeah, like a
Like a
some
vaccine?
nasty stuff like they have malaria, yellow fever. There's
Oh,
all
yeah.
sorts
You're
of-
susceptible to all that shit.
yeah. It's
Damn, man.
altitude pills, the whole thing. It's
Cropper
crazy.
got that tick fever when he was over there doing the plains hunt. Just like they had the nice camp and the whole thing.
like
but
one buried in him or
Yep.
something.
One buried in him, just ruined his day ruined him for like 2 days.
Rough.
Like had him on his cot, sleeping, sweating, fever, the whole shit.
I mean, we're so lucky in Alaska. Like it's like, oh yeah, bear, wolf, maybe a rabid moose. There, it's like everything's trying to kill you. It's crazy.
Yeah, even just something in the water, like just.
Tiny mosquito, get malaria, sweat, crazy. I mean,
So when you get the is it a what's the shot you get then? Does it give you,
You
like
get a bunch.
yeah.
I guess what I'm saying is like a
Jaeger,
vaccine. Is it like a vaccine, or is it like a flu shot where it kind of gives
It's
you
like
the
a
flu
flu
and you kind of
shot,
build up
yeah.
to it type shit?
Yeah, it's like that. And so it happened. We did it during COVID, which was nice because there's nobody on the mountain. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Normally there's just so many. So I didn't realize this, but like when people climb Everest, most of the people die waiting in line to summit
Yeah.
because everyone's stacked up at the top.
Oh, Everest is gross.
So yeah, like you've seen those lines. It's
Gross.
insane.
It's a litter fest. There's
Yep.
dead bodies. There's oxygen tanks. There's fuel cans. It's just like a trash dump. It's sad.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
nobody
shit.
carries that shit out. That's why. Like I've read mountaineering books my whole life, but I've never ever wanted to do mountaineering because anytime I've watched it, I'm like, it's the exact opposite of what you thought it was when you're like a kid, right? Because everything you learn like on your build up to maybe getting into mountaineering is like pack it in, pack it out, leave no trace but your footprints, and then you see that shit and it's just like
Disheartening.
you guys ain't carrying
seen that
shit
side.
out.
I've never seen that side.
Oh,
of
it's bad.
It's
I mean,
bad.
they've cleaned it up a bunch, and it's still bad.
Yeah.
Well, like nothing melts,
Right.
right? It's
Well,
like
and
it
then
doesn't like deteriorate.
It blows everywhere. I mean, that place, we saw weather all the way from, sleet and snow and rain and this and fog and desert and jungle. And it was like, lucky we didn't get rained on, but it was towards rainy season. And like he said, it's like some wrapper, you stick it in your bag, you pull your bottle out, it goes flying. Now it's
Gone.
dust in the wind. You see it, and you're looking at this beautiful landscape and looking out and the grass, and then all of a sudden you see a Snickers wrapper sitting there, and it's like him. He's like, you're like, God damn it. Like,
Yeah.
Was it pretty trashy, Kilimanjaro? I mean, did it have its like
wasn't
spots?
as bad as I thought, because they've kind of really cleaned it up, because the amount of people that go there,
There's a lot more access for that than
Right.
Everest.
Oh,
Everest is hard.
right.
Everest
Yeah, Nepal.
It's hard to, like, if you don't carry it out, it's gonna be hard for someone to, because they got to carry in the same shit to get to it.
right?
Yeah.
So then they're like carrying double the stuff out.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
Like, I mean,
Totally.
a lot of like the Sherpas and stuff. Those guys can run with like no oxygen and stuff a lot, but it's a major task, and like who's gonna pay for that? And
Right.
that's what I mean. It gets to a point in mountaineering where like the bravado of it like takes over, and it just becomes more of this like arrogant thing just to like say, and it becomes something that like,
It's like a
people with a
checklist.
lot of money are really the ones. It's what everyone thinks of sheep hunting.
Yeah.
Like, that's rich guy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you flew into this thing, shot
Yeah.
sheep.
Well, I'm wondering,
Must
like,
be
what you
rich.
did to train. Like, you think 19,000 feet? I mean, altitude sickness. Like,
So-
did you train? Is it like winter snow at the top?
Yeah, there's snow at the top, so you go up in the dark. You leave at midnight, and so we got to camp.
What levels camp at?
Like 15.5,
Okay.
and so that's where you see like everybody, like all the groups, the
you
stuff,
pull it up?
whatever.
I bet that's a cool like
Oh, it's-
party sesh going on.
It's
down
pretty
there, though.
cool. It's like, and so there's like bungalows and other stuff that people pay for, and then we were in tents and stuff like that, and you have porters that help go up. But a lot of these guys in Africa, there's guys that will run straight up the mountain and straight down in like 26 hours or something.
Oh, there's always those psychos.
But it's because they can go up.
See him on the Kasugi, dude. We're fully backpacked. This dude's just wearing nothing.
He's got a water bottle.
Yeah, yeah. That was
Doing
me.
it today.
Yeah, that was me on Resurrection. I'm like all packed in. I'm like, yeah, day 3, I'm feeling pretty good. Got all my work, coffee, and whatever out of my system. And then this old lady goes by me, and she's like, "Oh, we're running the ultra." And I said, "What's that?" 50 miles, but I'm running the 100. She's going all the way out. Devil's Ship Creek or Devil's Creek or something, out, back, all the way down and back.
Oh my god!
In like the little independent finger or toe socks,
Yeah.
with like a candy bar. Here I am packing all this crap, feeling real soft.
Well, that's that. I mean, if you follow that Killian Jornet, dude, that guy that like came down here and smashed the Mount Marathon record.
Okay.
Like, if you watch that guy, he probably did. I mean, he did McKinley in like 19 hours.
Wow.
Bottom to top.
So
and,
is that
and back down.
Is that it, Tenge?
Yeah, I mean that's like what
kinda-
these Africans do. It's
La Masha route.
yeah. So there's easier routes.
Oh, so
and then
here's
there's
like that
some are-
night.
Oh, nice.
and it's crazy because you're sitting next to a mountain that's like 15,005, and it looks so big and jagged the whole time you're going up. Then you get to the top, and you leave at midnight, you get up there when sun rises because it creates its own weather. So you want to get off of it before the weather moves in. You don't get a nice picture or shot or whatever. And
For the
it's,
gram.
Yeah, and it's.
Do you have a picture on your gram?
I think so. Maybe.
Do you? I
I'll
don't
look.
know. There's
It's on my
5 of them
it's on
in
my
there.
Facebook probably.
There's 5 of them. There is. There's one right there. Maybe I don't know what that
Yeah,
is.
me and the old lady swinging.
Definitely not Kilimanjaro.
No, that's
Nope.
yeah, that was Machu Picchu. So, but yeah, you get up there and it's like he's saying, it's crazy that people are doing for the gram. They're doing the upside down yoga moves and all the things. They're falling over because oxygen deprivation's getting them. And, like
I wouldn't recommend that.
a lot of people don't even remember getting to the top of Kilimanjaro. Like they don't remember it because
Just deprived.
it hits
Oxygen.
oxygen and then go down. Some people don't even make it. They can't even make it all the way up there. It's crazy. So, but yeah, we left midnight. You get up there 6 in the morning, take a photo, and then you hike all the way around the caldera to get to the top. and then you take your picture with the sign, hang out, and chill. And I wanted to stay up there way longer.
What's the beer they drink out there?
Kilimanjaro, and they say if you can't climb it, drink it. That's the national beer. I like
That's actually what it's called?
Yeah, I have a shirt.
That's funny.
I'll send you a picture of the shirt. It says Kilimanjaro beer. If you can't drink or can't climb it, drink it.
That's so money.
Isn't that funny?
Is it
That is
like
brilliant marketing, dude.
yeah,
Brilliant.
An ale?
yeah, something like that, like a light.
Yeah, just a
They have some-
lager or something.
Yeah, and they got some ciders and some light beers there, too, some Serengeti and some other
Nice.
stuff like that. And
Serengeti.
yeah.
can't
I got
climb
some
it,
pictures.
drink it.
Yeah, that was a great shirt.
That's so money.
I got it because I wasn't sure if everybody was going to make it, and if they didn't, I was going to give them that shirt.
Perfect.
Yeah. We had a couple of underagers. Buddy's daughters went, and so her daughter and her friends. So yeah.
There's no limit there, though, right?
No, and you go up, and one of the guys that went with us, he turned, I think, 50 or 55, and they baked a cake, and it's really hard to boil water that high up and stuff. So sometimes they make it and bring it, sometimes they make it. So it's like a special deal because, not easy to make a cake at 15,000 feet.
Not really.
He uses a lot of fuel.
Yeah, a lot of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Somebody backpack a 20-pound propane can up here.
You got to turbo it.
Yeah.
Just got to turbo it.
That's it.
It was. I was surprised though. It was pretty clean. I mean the latrines and stuff. What they do is they have like a water catch on top, and then that goes into a big jug, and then everybody uses that, so they don't have to pour water and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've heard stories of the other places with all the fuel cans and like I watched that Six Peaks. I think it's Six Peaks.
Yeah, man.
And that guy was a beast. I mean,
Holy
they had to go
shit.
That dude,
14 peaks.
14 peaks.
14
Yeah,
peaks.
don't cut out the
Oh
other
yeah,
8.
I know. He's like, I can't leave these guys. I got to save them on the way down. Like, we got to be somewhere else in like 2 hours or whatever.
Dude, some of these guys are like superheroes, though. Some of those mountain guys.
Yeah,
I know. I've heard stories about a few different guys that are like that, where it's just like, I'm trying to think of his name. He was a big North Face athlete. He passed away in an avalanche. His wife wound up marrying his best friend. And I heard a story from about him on McKinley, and a climber had fallen off of like an ice wall, and they were like 300 feet down,
dude,
on a ledge, and
like in a crevasse kind of thing.
He was just like he was like stuck on a ledge. He was busted up, but he was alive. And his buddy didn't even know if he was alive. And they couldn't get the heli to that. Like, it couldn't get close enough to like, it was too long they didn't have enough rope or cable to get down to it. And the helicopter couldn't get in close enough to the wall to get on it. Yeah. So he climbed down with another climber. And they were down there, and the other climber was the one telling the story. And he's like, he said he was like, "Well, dude, we can't get this guy out of here." He's like, "Cause we can't climb down with him, we can't lower him, and there's nowhere they can't get the basket from the helicopter over. Like, what can we do?" And he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna carry him up." And he just like tied this dude on his back, and he ice climbed like 300 vertical feet.
Jesus.
Good
with
Lord.
a dude on his back. And just was like, and he was like, and the guy telling the story, he's like, yeah, as soon as I asked like what we're gonna do, and he was like, well, I'm just gonna tie him onto me and climb. He's like, yeah, you are. Like, that's exactly what you would do.
Yeah.
No one else would, but that's what you would do.
Yeah, I'll climb up and hold the rope.
Some of those guys were
I'm going to film it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that is like, you watch that, like the movies like Meru and some of these other things. And there was a guy that his friend had died. He married the gal, and they hiked one of the peaks next to Meru and skied it. Like, first people to ski it or something. They were both.
Yeah.
God damn, that must have been extreme.
It's like 5,000 feet or something. It's crazy. Just
fucking hold on.
Just going. Like, it's amazing. Like, some of the stuff people do out there. I mean, the technology. You know, when we were ski jumping and Nordic Combine and all this stuff back in Carlisle days, and
I was telling my kid I used to do that. He's like, what?
Oh yeah, we used to
They
build.
let you do that? And I was like, yeah, they let a lot of things slide back then. I don't know how.
Well, you had Liska. Yeah, you had Liska.
Less lawyers.
We used to build the half pipe with Liska and those boys, and like skiers weren't allowed, and so like we wait for the snowboarders to go or whatever, and then we go rip down that thing and go flipping and whatever.
Did they have a sign too? No skiers allowed.
No, it was just kind of a thing, and I
It's an
snowboarded.
unwritten
and
rule.
Yeah, I don't think it was like an
you're a hybrid?
actual rule. It was just a
No.
kind of a like, hey, we finally have something of our own.
Yeah.
Can you just leave it?
Yeah.
Like, you got that huge, beautiful park made over there with
Yeah.
ski jumps.
Yeah, give us our half.
A lot of
pipe,
money in
right?
that. We shoveled this.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Just let us have
Put
it.
the water down, smooth.
Well,
it
there
out.
was that battle like to get. Remember when Alaska like accepted borders?
Yeah,
It's
bro.
like,
You had to have a license to shred.
Yeah.
It was a legitimate card you had to show before they would sell you a lift ticket at Alaska with a
Yeah.
snowboard.
What year was that?
91, 92.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
License to Shred sounds like the nastiest like snowboard movie.
It was
Title?
a ski movie, actually.
Oh, it was?
Glenn
Oh.
Blake.
License.
Glenn
It better
Blake.
be,
and
'cause
he gets
fuck, dude,
pulled
that
over
thing's
at the
shit.
beginning of the thing, and the guy's like, license and registration. And he's like, hands it to him, and the guy's
right,
like, sir, this is a license to shred. And that's the beginning of the movie. Best shit ever. That's why we made it called that when they came up with it. Because you could only ride Arctic Valley, which was horrible. Because I don't know if you remember Arctic Valley. They had one chairlift and they had one Palma and
yeah.
T-bar.
And did that chairlift always
Palma
work?
and T-bar is not invented for snowboarding.
No, T-bars.
I used to do it, and man, it
sucked.
takes a while, and then you're.
Oh, dude, it take you
You
10
just
tries to
drag
get
it.
to the top. Did you get like halfway?
You,
like,
you crash
stop. All
and
right,
you
guess
just
I'm going here.
drag as long as you can to
Totally.
get like 50 more feet of a run in before you finally make it.
Absolutely.
And then my skier friends would be like, they would be like, what we did was it was better on a snowboarder to grab. If you had a friend that was skiing, he would get on the T-bar and be on one side and you could be on the other because it didn't bite into your leg. Like you could just sit however you wanted on it.
Yeah.
But then your skier buddy would be like two edges. So he's like carving and pushing you like towards the pole. Like, and you're like, not funny, bro.
Yeah. And then you gotta ride an edge, and it's just like you're exhausted by the time you get up there because you're like doing this and
Yeah.
playing and leafing. And
You're more tired going up the lift than actually run
The
down.
actual ride itself.
You're like, I'm going to need a minute.
I gave up a couple times, just disconnected and just walked to the top. I was like,
Oh,
I'm
really?
used to, because I'm like, I'm used to this. I'm used
Yeah.
to walking to the
But you
top.
fall off,
Yeah.
and then the next dude's right behind you. Like, get out the way.
Come
You have to,
on.
like, shimmy to the side.
Well, they retracted. So once you got on, it would retract and go up, and then it would.
Oh, that's
yank
right,
you.
that's right,
And
that's
so
right.
if you lost it. That's why you say you held on for dear life. Because if you lost it,
Just
it
drag it.
retracted.
You're done. Yeah.
There's no like, oh, let me grab this. It's like gone.
No, you're just dragging. That's Ali, that was a big deal when we finally got to go to Alaska.
Yeah.
That's why when I see like some of these kids nowadays that like, sometimes the etiquette's different at Ali because it's not.
Yeah.
It's a little. You got a lot of people move here. They got to get enough employees. There ain't enough people in Girdwood that don't have jobs to work the resort. So you get a lot of people coming in from lower 48, right? And they work the resort, and so they feel like they're a local. And sometimes they get mouthy and they're like, "This is my resort, bro." I'm just like, well, you don't have to talk to people like that. Like, you don't have to be screaming at some lady to get off the jump. She obviously doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a weekend. Like, come
Yeah,
on,
you
use
have
your
some
head here a little
patience.
bit.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a local. This is how I'm like, oh, so you had a license to shred? What the fuck are you talking about, bro? I'm like, exactly. You're not a local. I'm like, so tell your parents to send you a ticket, come back home to Breckenridge, wherever you're from. Stop talking shit.
I love
Get
it.
your license.
I remember back in the day. So
Do you even shred, bro?
So Jack actually worked at Hilltop with me when we were in high school, and so then I was a ski and snowboard instructor. And I remember at Hilltop back when like snowboarding was new.
Real expert or what?
So you know Bundy then.
Well, yeah. Well, the skiers would try and rip across your board, like in the beginning, like get it, like it'd be like some gang,
Knuckle
like,
draggers.
Yeah. Be like a bike gang, like come up to some Kawasaki ninja guy and be like, "Hey, bro, repping your Harley or
smoking his
something."
face. Brah, 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 brah.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick break and we're going to come back and call Billy.
Sounds good.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. Barney specializes in supplying hunters with the absolute best Alaskan-proven gear on the market for some of nature's most rugged and demanding terrain. Whether you're headed to the remote volcanic islands of the Alaska Peninsula in search of a brown bear, or the shale-infested glacial valleys of the Brooks Range for Dall Sheep, it is critical you choose the right gear for your dream hunt. Don't miss Barney's exclusive brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska, tested from the high mountains of Tajikistan to the extreme conditions of Alaska. These products were designed for high performance and durability. Frontier Gear was derived from decades of experience hunting big game in Alaska. Paired with other top brands, it provides you the absolute best gear selection anywhere in the world. Stop in at Barney Sports Chalet in Anchorage on Northern Lights or check out their custom website and reference tool at barneysports.com.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaska public lands, waters, and wildlife. From national level policy work to engagement with boots on the ground projects from Kotzebue to Ketchikan, BHA performs public land cleanups, hunting and fishing clinics, and community education to help take your game to the next level. BHA's community-minded goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping wildlands wild and fostering the next generation of sportsmen and women for years to come. Make sure to follow BHA Alaska for upcoming events, local brewery pint nights, and more. Stand up for Alaska public lands and waters by supporting the Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Join us today at backcountryhunters.org.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience. At Total Truck, you can find brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Front Runner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Linings bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Alaska Overlander provides 4x4 vehicles and expedition trailers custom modified for Alaskan adventures and outfitted with rooftop tents, fridges, and all the camping and cooking gear you need to start exploring. Visit them at alaskaoverlander.com. He's got to show his license real quick.
Yeah, show your license. Yeah, your license to ride. There you go.
Detailed message as to what your call is regarding, and we will do
our best to get back. Come on, Billy.
Billy, we're going to call you right back. Oh, he's calling back.
Yeah.
Billy. Hello? Hold on, let me get you connected here. 1 second here.
Oh, yeah.
Working out the kinks.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there he is.
All right.
1 2 3 1 2 3. Got me.
Oh, sound check.
He's live.
Old Beastie Boys fan.
How's the weather down there in Wisconsin?
Well, we're warm, so I suspect that you guys are probably cold. Right now it's 30. We've been getting a lot of snow, and yeah, it's kind of like a real bona fide winter.
Nice.
Right on. Is the ice fishing going on yet down there?
We've had too much snow, so they're not driving on the lakes just yet. Too much insulation on the lakes. Typically, they're driving on the lakes before Christmas, but I haven't seen anybody doing it just yet. Four-wheeler guys and the hardcore dudes are out there. But yeah, they're not driving out. As soon as they can drive out, boy, that's when the beer starts. That's when beer sales goes up. And all the guys that are laid off for the winter, they're getting after it. The wives are probably happier that way too.
What's the big target species for ice fishing down there?
Yeah, walleyes. Yeah, walleye and then panfish. Usually all the older guys, the more serious beer drinkers just set up the tip ups and go for walleyes, and then the older guys, they're going for meat to justify their existence so they can bring supper home to, make it all worthwhile for their wives.
Yeah, wasn't
So
complete
you just
failure.
go out there to drink beer. No. I brought home fish.
Yeah.
That's what I've kind of figured out is like 90% of adult pastimes, at least in the Midwest, revolve around drinking beer. Softball, volleyball, horseshoes, cornhole,
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And all the new ones are like less activities, so you can do more drinking, like cornhole.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it seems to be going.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, Billy, with us. You were on one of our long list of people that we wanted to eventually get on here on our little podcast up here in Alaska, and so I appreciate your time coming on. And I think that I personally noticed you as I was getting into hunting, maybe like I want to say 15 years ago, when I turned 30 there, and you were one of the guys that were consistently putting out actual like DVDs back then, and I want to say they had a whole stack of them. I don't know if you were at the Sportsman show up here in Alaska or someone else was selling your DVDs. Were you doing that back then?
No, it would have been somebody else. I've never been up in any sports shows up there. I don't know. Somebody else maybe did. I know Barney's carried my videos for a while. Somebody else must have had them. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while now. I think about 18 years ago, I put together my first video. Been guiding in Alaska for 25 and just kind of started filming kind of on a whim. The first hunt I was ever on in Kodiak, the client we guided, he had a video camera and filmed the hunt. And then when he shot his bear, I filmed him shooting the bear. And he sent a copy of that footage home to my parents, while I was still up in Alaska for like 6 months. And then they got to watch all that. My parents grew up on a farm. So my parents, my grandpa particularly, they didn't know what it was like. They didn't know what I was doing. And so when I got home and kind of realized that everybody was really interested in kind of the lifestyle and what we ate and flying in on the planes and, how you hunted, and obviously shooting the bear, that was cool. But it was really about the lifestyle that really seemed to intrigue people the most. And I just bought my own camera and basically just started filming home video so I could share it with my family and people that I knew to show them what hunting in Alaska and the wilderness of Alaska is like. And just like a lot of things in life, I just kind of kept with it and it kind of grew legs of its own.
That's cool.
Was that first one a VHS?
No. And I don't remember what I think it was Mini DV I didn't have a VHS, but still doing DVDs, man. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a slow learner, but I sell more DVDs every year. I've got a fairly old clientele. We've, starting to do some offer digital downloads now on some of the newer films. But yeah, still selling them. I honestly, I think DVDs are going to stick around. I think, just with, the digital, you look at like vinyl records, and the digital, I think the fragility of digital, I think people are recognizing that and get a lot of guys with like hunting camps, that sort of thing. As long as they have electricity, they can play those things. And, for what it costs by the time you put a film out, for what it costs to put it on DVD, that's pretty negligible compared to the production cost. So I figure I'll just keep sticking with it. People keep buying them. So
it's working. I did hear a fun fact that they sold more vinyl records in 2022 than they did in like the last 30 years. Yeah. So it's back.
Yeah. Hipsters.
Wow.
Well, I remember working at Shimmick's and they were like, "Oh, mini disc gonna take over because it's small and compact. Oh, laser disc and all this and VHS," and then all of a sudden DVDs are still here,
still there.
Yeah, still working.
Do you have your stuff on YouTube too, or do you try to do exclusively? People got to get it on the DVD.
Yeah, kind of what I do is I just kind of put some of my older stuff out on YouTube and kind of like release it and have it just out available for sale for 3-4 years, 2-3-4 years, depending on the film. And then I'm just kind of slowly putting stuff out on YouTube.
Yeah, that was one thing when I was getting back into hunting. Yours was several. I must have been your old videos then that I would watch on YouTube. And the one thing I recognize and notice was that you did like a long form. Like your videos would be like an hour plus or 30 minutes to at least like an hour and a half, whereas all the other ones were like quick 20 minutes, like
half hour.
hype. The actual entire hunt was on video.
Yeah, he's showing the lifestyle versus just the kill.
Yeah, Sports Center version.
I kind of look at it like documentary style, and that's kind of the beauty of it, I think, is there is no format. It's just whatever it takes to tell the story, or at least that's kind of what I always figure. As long as it adds to the overall takeaway of the story, I'm going to put it on there. Yeah, some of my films are my DVDs. There'll be 2 DVD sets, so some of them are over 4 hours long.
Oh wow!
And when I started putting stuff on YouTube, a friend of mine, he has a hunting TV show. I don't know how to edit. I don't like computers, and so I was going to start. Once COVID hit, I was doing a lot of public speaking, and then once COVID hit, all my public speaking just disappeared. Like the whole winter's worth of public speaking disappeared in like 2 weeks. So I didn't know really what to do. I was going to make money, and so I'm like, well, I'll start putting some stuff on YouTube, see what happens. And my buddy's like, man, you can't have anything over 20 minutes on YouTube. Nobody's going to watch it. I mean, I knew what new YouTube was, but I never watched it. I thought, it was for like 12-year-old kids, and I didn't know what was on it. And so he's telling me, he's like, man, you got to chop up those videos in those films into short little clips. But I didn't want to pay an editor to do it, and I didn't know how to do it myself. And I just said, screw it. I knew enough how to put it on YouTube, and then that was it. And honestly, for me, the longer my films are, the more views they'll get. When I do have some 20-minute films and on YouTube, and those will get, let's say in about a year's time, those will get like an average of, let's say, 50 to 100,000 views. Whereas my full length films that are an hour and a half to 2+ hours long, those will get, in a year's time, those will get over 1 million. On average.
Holy
shit. I think it's just counterculture. If you do what everybody else is doing, you're competing with everybody. I mean, it was just purely accident. And so I personally, I'd much rather watch a movie than I would a TV show, because I like the escape of it. And I think that's what makes the Alaskan wilderness. It's different, to go out on a moose hunt or a caribou hunt where you're out there for a week or 10 days. You get the wilderness immersion effect. Where around here where I live, it's kind of nice, man. I can literally walk out my door and sit in a tree stand in 5 minutes, and I can shoot a buck, right? But you're probably going to bring your cell phone along, and you're going to hear a car go by, and you're going to hear a siren, and and 3 hours later you're going to be back home, watching TV. Where so I think that's where, like, particularly for these films, these Alaskan films, like, I think if you're going to do it justice, you need to have a lot of time. I can't really, it doesn't make sense to me to like just fast forward in 20 seconds through the 3-day storm where, maybe seemingly nothing happens. But as you guys know, like half the time, that's kind of where the magic happens is those lonely 3 days where your back's so dang sore because you haven't got out of bed for 36 hours and you've had to pee for 3 hours, but it's so cold you don't want to go outside, And so I don't think you can really fast forward to that. There's a happy balance. I'm not saying that I found it, but yeah, I try to show the good, the bad, and the ugly, and not just show people what they want to see, but I want to show people what they don't know they want to see. And that's what I just feel like all the time that I've spent up there and all the, I figure I lived 8 years of my life in a tent in the wilderness. And so if I don't know something that the average guy doesn't know, I'd have to be an idiot not to. And so I want to try to capitalize on that and just show that little bit of extra perspective that I have and try to share that with people. And that's a lot of fun.
Well, you do a good job.
I would hate to disagree with you on anything, but I got to disagree with, I think you are showing exactly what people want to see instead of you thinking this is not what they want to see. I think you're showing, and that's why you're getting those views on the longer ones, because that suffering is part of it. And I think you were capturing something that hunting shows before this were like, it was a lot of deer. like deer hunting was, whitetail hunting was like, that's what was on television. And that's a lot of like deer stand stuff or blinds. And there's not a lot to show outside of that. Like you said, you can walk out your front door and be in a tree stand in 30 minutes. And here you can't do that. Like it's remote, and that journey is completely the destination up here. And so you showing that in long format is awesome. And that, I think people, maybe they just didn't know they wanted to see it, but they can't turn it off because they're so intrigued.
Yeah, and I think that's the message, right? Is like showing people what they don't know that they wanted to see.
Yeah.
They don't realize it until they do see and experience it, that they're like, oh shit, that was way more entertaining than just,
way more.
Yeah.
You know,
I watched
the stalk, the kill, the highlight stuff, like the pain and suffering, the bullshit, the actual real part of the hunt. Because all those other moments usually are fast.
The misses.
They're like,
the
all of
miscues,
it. But
the
like,
stuff that goes wrong.
the back pain off the air pad laying in the tent, as he alluded to, like all that is like the shit that's actually
real.
Is real. That
I actually watched one of your
people
videos.
Need to know.
And I watched the longer version, and I liked it for a lot of the same reasons these guys are saying, but also you learn more from your failures than your successes, which you said in the video in your own words, but you also get a deeper connection with the storyteller. You learn more about Billy telling the story than you did if it was just highlight, miss, here's the kill, here's us packing it out, So
well said.
Yeah, vulnerability.
Yeah,
I'd say I'd say one of my strongest points. I think we're one of the things that I'm maybe resigned to, and I've kind of accepted is my own vulnerability because I've failed so much, and also because I've spent so much time with other men in a very intimate setting for a week to 2 weeks at a time, and I've learned that every man has vulnerability. And when you're vulnerable, that knocks down everybody's walls. And I think people appreciate that. And also I've learned that if I'm anything other than me, that's never going to work. That's not sustainable. And so I've held that camera in front of my face and talked to it enough that eventually that's just kind of all over time is just melted away. And I guess I feel like that's when my videos, like that's when I was truly authentic, when I kind of just came to that point where, more or less truly authentic, which I think pretty much I am. Like that's when I became comfortable, and then I was just me. And I think when we all do that, people recognize that. And that's the other beauty of a hunting trip like that is you do get to know you will hit vulnerable moments with those people that you're with, because on every hunting trip in Alaska, I've been on hundreds of them. You're going to face some sort of situation. Some of them are more significant and major than others, but you're going to come to some situation that you've never been in before. And you and the people that you're with are going to have to figure out some way to overcome it or what to do about it, right? And so that's where that bond is formed. So adversity is one of two things. It's either cement or it's a wedge. And the beauty of the Alaskan wilderness is there's no way out. So you got to get through it together. And then that's where that bond is formed. And that's the stuff that, you take with you to the grave. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well said. You nailed it there. Like when the vulnerability kicks in and it just like levels the playing field. Not that there's a competition, but it levels the playing field as far as like, okay, that's who you are. This is who I am. Let's move forward and figure it out. Like, doesn't matter what your profile is in social life, money, career, your power and your business. Like all of it is like non-existent. It's just like human beings leveled out. And like, man, that's right. Like, and you connect and like, and then the bond and friendships, Chad, like,
yeah, you have to. And
it's like we
happens.
spent 18 hours in the tent, like our first hunt.
Yeah, you
and
learn
what a
a lot
good way
about
to
each
just
other.
like kind of figure things out really fast, dude.
Yeah.
It doesn't get more intimate than laying in a tent for more than 24 hours, does it, Billy?
No, nope. And then especially when you do it about 4 days straight.
Oh man.
It could be the two least talkative people in the world, and they will know everything about each other when it's over.
Oh yeah.
There's
it all comes out.
It's unavoidable.
Guys, like they want to go on like a 2-on-1 hunt, for let's say a dad and a son. I can kind of see it sometimes, but generally I tell people, honestly, what I suggest is you go on a 1-on-1 hunt. You fly into the camp, and then the outfitter will fly into your own guide, because where the magic happens is when you're wholly vulnerable, when you leave everything behind. If you have a person that I guarantee you will not have the same wilderness experience as you would if you're out there alone, and all of a sudden you meet this guide and you shake his hand, and he probably hasn't showered for a month and a half. And I mean, you've got to spend 10 days with him. That's where that wilderness really has a way more powerful effect on you as an individual, when you leave everything that behind. Because that's where that's where you get vulnerable automatically. You get into a landscape, particularly if you haven't hunted there much or don't have a lot of experience in the wilderness. That's where the wilderness of Alaska really grips you. But that said, whoever you're with, absolutely, you're gonna form a bond. I had a guy. He came up hunting with me. He hunted sheep with me twice. First time he didn't get one. The second time he was getting pretty disgusted on the second hunt. We had a blown stock. We passed up a barely legal ram on the first day. And then like 7th day before we found the next legal ram, and we blew the stock. And he was getting pretty upset. Then finally on his 11th day of his second hunt, he got one, and he just broke down in tears. And I asked him, I said, would you trade a single day, a single moment, a single step? And he said, hell no. Mm-hmm. But I mean, 3 days earlier, he barely spoke a word to me in 2 days. He was just upset, and he was like, yeah, I was just thinking that I was going to fail again. And I'm like, it isn't failure. That's just part of the process.
Learning. You're just learning.
Trial and error.
Part of the adventure. Because if it's a guarantee, it ain't a hunt. And if it's a guarantee, it ain't an adventure. And if it ain't an adventure, there's no sense in doing it.
No, he would have only failed if he didn't come back the second year. Then it would have been a failure.
Yeah.
But coming back and getting it done, even if you had to do, I got friends that they run Devil Mountain Lodge, and they have clients that it took them 4 years at whatever $20,000 a pop to get a sheep. And
some are longer than that.
But they didn't fail. Like, you're hunting a species that's difficult, and that exposure is the best teacher on the planet. I mean, when you feel naked and like a speck, you realize like how small you are real quick out there.
Well, and like beyond the harvest, beyond the harvest, beyond the trophy, the wall, the mount, the horns, like the entire experience and what its impact is on your life moving forward as you aspire to do things that maybe are not achievable, it can be life-changing. And for him on the 11th day, the breakdown, the crying, as Billy mentioned, like I can only imagine what that did to impact a dude's, perspective on how he may approach or do things moving forward, because like that breaks you down at a level that not a whole lot of things can, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because the level of disgust, the sleep lost, the rolling around in your sleeping bag, just like utterly disgusted with yourself. I mean, I think we've all been there, where you just feel like you miss out on something so bad that it just like you can't shake it.
Yeah.
And then if you overcome it and then you have success, I mean, it's like, I don't know what else like kind of tops it, dude.
It's like it's something you want too. You're going out there, you want it. It's not like it doesn't exist. It's not Benjamin Franklin making electricity, or where it's like trying 1,000 times. It's like, people have done this, so it's doable.
Sure.
Can you internally get to that point where you can make it happen? Make the stock, make everything. Yeah.
Hey, Billy, can you kind of give us a little history on what introduced your love for the outdoors, or maybe it was your dad or a role model, and how that started, and what eventually brought you to becoming a guide in Alaska?
Yeah, I grew up on a farm. My grandpa farmed, my dad farmed. My grandpa also trapped in the wintertime. Basically, it was totally a sustenance deal. Furs we found when he passed, we found a receipt that he had for otter and beaver. He was getting $50 a pelt. So he would build a log cabin in northern Wisconsin in the wintertime, and he'd trap all winter long. And then he would come home in the springtime, sell his furs, use that money to buy seed, start a new, the next farming season. And so he took pictures, and he was just kind of an interesting guy. But the pictures that he would take when he was doing this, this was before I was alive. We're talking like 30s, 40s, 50s, and into the 60s. He would do this. That just really inspired me. It just seemed like a cool lifestyle, and he took me trapping. And he knew a language that I didn't know. He could see things that I couldn't see. He'd point to something on the muddy bank of the creek or the swamp, and he'd say, "Well, you see the sign." And I was like, "Sign? What? There's no sign there." I didn't know what he was talking about. And I was like, "What? How does he know that animal is going to put his foot there?" And I was fascinated by it. And my dad, the one day, I mentioned it on my YouTube video. I mean, it was the honest truth. My dad took me trapping. I begged him and begged him and begged him. Finally, we milked the cows on a Saturday morning, and we loaded the truck up, threw a rowboat and some alder stakes and some number 1.5 Victor long springs, and we went down to Lightning Creek, and we cast out and oared away from the road. And I lost sight of the road, lost sight of the power line, and lost sight of Henry Hines' farm. And I looked around me, and I was surrounded with nothing but nature, and ahead was just a curve in this sluggish little creek, and where it went, I had no idea, but I couldn't wait to get there. And it literally was just a light switch moment. I just told myself, I was like, this is life. This is how I'm going to live my life.
How old were you?
I was 8 years old.
Nice.
And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. I started trapping, I think about the time I was like 12 or 13. Late 80s, around 90, the fur market fell out, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to make a living as a trapper. I started hunting, and I loved that. And my grandpa said, "Billy, the pinnacle of outdoor adventure is in Alaska. That if that's what you want, that's where you should go." And we lived pretty much hand to mouth on the farm, and my parents didn't take vacations, and I just figured, well, I'll never be able to afford to hunt, go on those hunts myself. So didn't want to go to college, and so I figured, well, maybe I could become a hunting guide. And it was a pretty far-fetched dream, and long story short, made it up there and started doing it. And I always kind of had a dream maybe I'd make hunting videos, and ended up doing that. And I always kind of had a dream maybe I'd be an outdoor writer, ended up doing that. Wanted to hunt a few places, wanted to go to New Zealand, wanted to go to Africa, was able to do that, went to Asia, and by the time it was all done, basically my bucket list was 100% checked off when I was 80 years old, or 40 years old, I'm sorry. And the guy, one of my clients, I actually took him on a Dall Sheep hunt. He had 2 artificial knees, called me up, and said it was his dream to hunt Dall Sheep since he was 13. And so I got him set up on a sheep hunt, took him up there, he kills the sheep, got a nice ram. And a year or so later, he comes to me and he says, "Hey, you made my dream come true. I want to make your dream come true." And he knew like my remaining dream hunt was to go Cape Buffalo hunting in Africa. So he said, "I'll pay for everything. All you got to do is say yes." And I said, "Well, Barry, I don't know how to say yes to that, but I ain't going to tell you no." So we go and we hunt Cape Buffalo. And it was an amazing adventure. I did a film on it. I called it The Present. And as we're driving home, I sat on the high rack on the way home. I'm trying to think, like, man, all these dreams I had as a kid, they literally, these dreams that I never imagined would even come true. Never imagined. Never actually thought it would happen. And I'm like, what's next? And I sat there and I just realized, there was literally nothing that I wanted anymore for myself. And I realized the parable of reaping and sowing, it's true. Anybody that's in the outdoors would believe that. And I realized, the first 40 years of my life, I've focused on reaping. What if the last 40 years, Lord willing, of my life, I focus on sowing? If I just focus on sowing, the reaping will happen by default. And because what I realized is, a guy like Barry, I don't know why, but I just kind of put one foot in front of the other all the time. And invariably, there was always guys there to open doors for me that I couldn't open for myself. I couldn't afford a trip like that. Even if I could, I couldn't justify it as a guy raising a family. And there he was to make that dream a reality. And what it led to was me just realizing, man, I get more fulfillment out of helping others realize their dreams than I do fulfilling my own. I honestly would rather guide a hunt than I would to go on one myself. A lot more work, especially now as I get a little bit older. But yeah, it's unbelievably rewarding because I'm able to take my 25 years of failures and get this 60-year-old man with 2 artificial knees that's probably only got 1 climb in him. I can take, him and hopefully get him a Dall Sheep. That's one thing is like a guide. A lot of guys, we think we'll get upset when, your hunter can't go. But I mean, that really makes it a much greater challenge when you're 25 years old, 30 years old, whatever, and you're physically fit, you can go. But now you've got a 60-year-old man, that can't go like you can. You got to pay attention, and you got to be a much better hunter to get him an animal than you would, just for yourself to do it. A lot easier to go do it for yourself, but to take a Chichaco and guy that's not in very good shape and give him a sheep, you really learn. You learn out of necessity. Necessity breeds invention, so you figure things out a lot faster when things are more difficult.
Yeah, it probably changes the philosophy on that stock a ton, I would imagine. Like, when like, this client only has 1, like, we can't blow it. And if you have a young guy that's fit, you can blow a couple stocks and probably still make it happen over a 10-day hunt, but if you got a guy that he's got 1 opportunity, that is going to take 25 years of experience to probably
pull it
do
off.
That out. Yeah.
A lot of patience.
That's awesome.
Yep. You get more variables. Yeah. And so that makes it more challenging, and you gotta tune in all the more.
When did your public speaking career start? Did somebody seek you out, or did you just decide that you really love telling stories and doing the videos and stuff, and then just jump in?
I just started out at civic organizations locally, and then eventually I started producing videos and wanted to market those. I pitched to sports shows like local ones or regional ones, and they'd give me a free booth, maybe a hotel to come and speak, and I don't know, had a fair bit of feedback, good feedback on it. And, there's just something that I continued with, and then I kind of recognized eventually, after years, I recognized whether it's public speaking, video production, writing, ultimately you're a storyteller. And so to tell a good story, it's all about the same. And what I kind of believe is, to tell a good story, you got to find the human element. Adventure is good, but anything that people can connect with and resonate with. And I think for me, what helped me a lot was being a farm kid from Wisconsin that didn't know I didn't know the first thing. So when I went to Alaska, it was all like eye-opening, jaw-dropping, because I had no idea. I mean, I'd never been to the mountains until I was 19 years old, and I drove out west to Montana to guide school. I've never seen a mountain, my whole entire life. I'd read about it, but I didn't know what it was like. And so I just had a real fresh perspective and a great appreciation for it. And more importantly, I was hungry. I was hungry because I didn't have that, my dad never was able to take me on an elk hunt at 16 years old or 14 or whatever. I was hungry. And so that hunger just, it started slow. I mean, I was just telling a guy the other day, I remember the first time when I set a trap, I don't know how old I was, 5 or 6. And I had been trapping for a while, and nothing ever stepped in my traps. And I remember one day I came back in this woods. I mean, I had a playground, man. I could go anywhere I wanted. I could go on the neighbor's land. I was probably trespassing fool. Nobody cared back then. But I remember I set a trap, and all of a sudden one day I came back and that trap was gone. And I'm like, holy crap. I was so happy that something actually stepped in my trap. I didn't know where it was. I was looking all over for it. I was bummed out. I'm like, man, what was it? So I got good enough that something actually stepped in my trap. Well, now I just need to learn how to anchor the thing, right? And so I learned it. I learned everything the hard way. And I think just having that latitude and that time to learn things at my own pace and to improve steadily, and just having that latitude and basically having nothing else to do. Because if I went back home, I was just going to have to work. Honestly, that was the biggest blessing that I had. That's what created the hunger, and through hunger, that's when you learn. And, I think we do our kids a disservice by catering to them and giving them too much. I think it's good for people to be hungry.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Got to get them off the, what were you talking about in that video? Keeping your streak alive, right? Snapchat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty funny. You were explaining it. I was like, that's about how I would explain it. Like, I don't get it, but you do it once a day with the same verse, keeping the streak alive.
That's it.
Billy, I'm curious on what, all these years, hunting in Alaska and sheep hunting specifically. We've had these conversations on our podcast before. Like, where is this heading? As lifelong Alaskans, we've seen the king fishery die off, the clam digging die off,
King crab
now this year. And so I'm just curious on what someone as yourself who's been in the field so long, like, what do you feel as if where the Dall sheep are at as far as like longevity?
Well, I don't know. I mean, definitely demand is super high. Supply seems to be pretty low. Obviously, the full curl law, I think that's pretty dang good. I hear conflicting reports of what the full curl, enforcement, how that works. Obviously, as a guide, particularly an out-of-stater, I don't probably get, I don't know if sympathy is the right word, but there's probably not a lot of appreciation amongst Alaska residents for someone like myself. But I know that's one thing that I personally kind of strive for is to take 10-year-old rams. Sometimes, I've taken them younger. I've taken one that was 7 at one time. But that was kind of it was kind of all we had and the hunter wanted. And I didn't feel I could turn them down. I mean, it was definitely a full curl sheep, but at any rate, I have very mixed feelings about it. I know I kind of always figure holding to that 10-year ram, benchmark. I don't know if that's maybe a self-justification thing, but I think you're at that point, particularly, you're shaving that margin of that ram's natural life pretty darn close at that point. But yeah, the price of them for the guided hunts is, I would say, is probably going to be over $50,000 within a couple of years. Everything in nature, everything in life cycles, and we're definitely seeing a cycle there. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what we're gonna see there. But yeah, the success seems to be going down. The value seems to be going up. The sheep hunting in general, I get why it's getting wildly popular, but just the supply is low and the demand is high. I guess that's I don't know what the right answer is.
That's a really great way to put it.
Something's got to break.
Do you feel like there's something they could do, like maybe no more over-the-counter harvest tags? It's all draw. Like, do you see an avenue for them to maybe slow this down a little?
Well, like where I guide, it's a federal refuge. So there, the outfitter, there's one outfitter per area, and basically they are limited on tags from the outfitter perspective. So, and I've never guided for sheep in state land. I've heard a lot of stories about how competitive it is. And of course, you guys probably know, generally speaking, on the state land, you'll have multiple outfitters in an area. And in a lot of those areas, there is no limit to the number of rams they can harvest. I mean, that's kind of where the eight-year rule obviously helps. So I guess I've never really seen that firsthand. I've never really experienced areas with too much pressure back where I guide back in the I guess it would have been the early or mid 2000s. There was quite a bit of pressure there, and but that just kind of seemed to peter itself out at one point. yeah, I don't have enough experience over a wide variety in areas of the state. I think to probably speak to it too much, to have any valuable input. I would say I don't know what the right answer is and how you do that. It's kind of like the 50-inch rule for moose. You're getting them to a pretty old age class or relatively old. Some bulls can be fairly young, I think, and hit that 50-inch mark. But obviously, what you're shooting for is to give them a fair bit of maturity. And with these winter kills, I don't know if we're if that has much to do with hunting pressure. I suspect it certainly doesn't help. But when you hear of like what I saw in the area where we guided over a 2-year period, I figured we lost 80% of the herd, and sure enough, the biologist came in and a couple of years later, and that's exactly what they said. 80% of the herd died off. Before that, we had sheep everywhere. And so, when I look like at the caribou herds, I don't know. I'm no biologist, but from what I've seen of some of these caribou herds, the best thing you can do once they really notice them exploding is shoot cows. I know that's not popular to be heard, but it seems to me, all the old air taxi guys out of Iliamna said, when that Mulchatna herd exploded, the hills were covered in white. They looked like they were covered in snow because there was so much lichen. Well, of course, that lichen takes, 10 decades, if not centuries to grow. Well, it just stands to reason you get a big, a great food source that you're just going to get an onslaught, an explosion in population. And I think almost the only way to really sustain them would be to hunt them. I know they were shooting 2 bulls at one time, and maybe they were shooting more as well, but I don't know. Well, I saw that a little bit on the north side of the Brooks Range there for several years. We had a pretty good dip in the herd there, and I remember that the hills when I first went there there was a lot of white. There was a lot of lichen, and then all of a sudden they were just brown, and then there was no caribou there. So I don't know, for caribou anyway. I think sometimes kind of like the old adage with coyotes, as long as you hunt the coyotes, you'll always have coyotes. It almost seems to be kind of what little bit I've observed in caribou in a short amount of time. Don't get me wrong, but to get back to your point, I don't know what the right answer is with sheep. And then all those different areas are different. Like I said, the federal lands that I'm familiar with, those are managed pretty darn tight. In the areas where I've guided, we've always pretty well maintained about a 10-year average, throughout the years, some years more like 9, other years 11. But we can control that a little bit better than you can on the state land. From a guiding standpoint, I think a lot of guides like that idea of having, few or limited guides in an area, but, that's kind of a whole nother ball of wax. And from a resident standpoint, I guess I really couldn't speak to it. I guess I kind of see resident side. I also see obviously the side of having opportunities for guys from the lower 48 to come up and hunt. It's good for commerce. But I don't know what the right answer is. That's a big ball of worms, and that's probably a weekend discussion with a lot of angry individuals.
Yeah. Well, you did mention that the demand is high, and I am of the opinion that the popularity of sheep hunting has increased a lot through social media and videos and commercialization of the hunting culture and industry. Do you feel that that's a part of it, or what's your opinion there?
100%. I have, I kind of have. I don't know if I have mixed emotions about it, but I have like conflicting thoughts of the, these sheep organizations. I get it. I think their objective is good. But yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what is right with it. I don't know. It's brought, sheep hunting, when with technology, 30, 40 years ago, sheep hunting was a very rare thing. It's just something people didn't even really think about. And now there's almost like a sex appeal, if you will, to it, that it's kind of like the creme de la creme, which it kind of is. You know, I can't blame anybody who'd want to go sheep hunting because it's pretty dang cool, right? But I don't know. I suppose the money kind of creates from a non-resident standpoint, it kind of creates a little bit of an exclusivity thing. But you got a lot of young guys that somehow they're bucking up the money and they're doing it while they're young, and maybe that's a generational thing too. You know, you look at the guys, the 67-year-old, the baby boomer types. You know, they were raised in pretty hard times. They didn't spend money. You know, not many guys would spend money on things that weren't necessary. And now, you know, the young 20, 30 somethings, basically their outlook on life is, credit. You know, hey, there's more printed every day, so let's go spend it.
Pay
so
off later.
I don't know. You know, one thing that I will say is this. I think we're going to see this cycle. I'd say we already are. You know, when you're in a hunt and you're in a tough spot in life, people's motives are revealed. And if your motive, and I can see it in hunters pretty quick, I can spot it. You know, anybody that's guided for a while, been around people in general, you'll spot people's motives pretty fast. And I'll notice that in about day 2 or 3 or 4, you know, when hunting's tough. The guys that I really enjoy hunting with, they're the same on day 10 as they are day 1, whether they get one or not. For the guy whose motives are, you know, probably what I would consider to be a little bit off, about day 2 or 3, you can kind of notice in his tone of what his motives are, that he's getting a little bit upset. You know, he's here to have a ram on the wall. And I don't really, you know, I get it. I'm not the one writing the check, but at the end of the day, are you here to kill a sheep or are you here to sheep hunt? And I would say that might be one thing that if I were to pick something, I would say maybe the age goes to 9. Maybe the age goes to 10. I mean, it's going to create the opportunity to still be out there and hunt. Because I know there's guys, you know, I'll get hunters that'll call me and they'll say, hey, well, boy, you know, $25,000 for a moose hunt or whatever. Well, is that guaranteed? And if I'm feeling kind of cocky and I feel the guy out a little bit, or if I don't know, I don't say it too often, but every once in a while, the mood is just right. And I'll say, well, when you want to go fishing, do you go to a grocery store and buy a can of tuna? They'll kind of look at me all queer. And, you know, it's about the adventure and the experience and the hunt. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even want to go on a hunt and have it be 100%. I mean,
yeah. I mean, if that guy said that to me, I would just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I misread that. It's actually $35,000."
Yeah,
that price would keep going up till he straightened that talk out.
So, is there?
I had a good lesson at a sports show. I think it was the first sports show I ever went to. Was the FDI National Convention. This outfitter's name is Larry Rivers, and I mean, Larry Rivers is very well known in the guiding industry. He's an amazing guy. He's kind of a man before his time. And he was charging, I don't know, he had a very good area on the Alaska Peninsula, and this hunter came up to him and he said, well, you're charging $17,000 for your brown bear hunt, and everybody else hunting around you is charging $15,000. Why is that? And Larry just looks at him with a stone cold straight face, and he says, that's because my competitors know the value of their product. Ooh. And the hunter just kind of stood there dumbfounded, and that's the way Larry was. And it was like, guys either ripped out their checkbook and wrote a check, or they just turned and they walked away. So, yeah, that would be my probably be my take. If things got, you know, continue on the sheep front, would be to do that. You know, kind of like that. You know, that open area in Montana, you know, where they just close, they have a registration or whatever, they shoot so many sheep and then the season's closed. It gives guys the opportunity. Is maybe it's something like that. You know, obviously you probably still have to have the broomed law, but I don't know. Maybe, I don't know how you really get past full curl, you know, how you'd get something like that, but just maybe somehow to increase the age, you know, that 8-year minimum.
I like the age. I like the age thing over full curl.
I actually never even heard that option.
It's not an option. I mean, but I would like it to just them remove the full curl being legal and just be strictly
age,
like 9 years or older.
But then
that'd be too tough.
Or you do like a
That
hierarchy.
never worked.
yeah,
It's
trying
like
to
full
educate
curl, 8 years old.
Properly-
Do like a hierarchy.
You don't think it? I mean, it.
properly educating the public on like how to count rings and the
Yeah,
whole thing and the
yeah, it kind of messes up
and the-
for
the- and like your
guides
theory, the
could-
9 and the
guides
crown
could pull
and-
it off.
yeah, like Billy could probably be the most like valuable argument for saying that this works if a guide. Like, it'd almost have to be like you'd have to do a registered guide. And
for 8
then,
years, yeah.
like if I'm
Somebody
like
who's
Billy
just-
said, it'd be too hard to do that. Like it'd be too muddled.
Well, Bill, you've been out there a long time. Was there any natural forces you feel are taking the population down? I mean, you've been doing it, 25 years now?
Yeah, and I don't know. Honestly, I think 25 years is really just a blip on the radar. I wouldn't know. Again, I think you'd have to have bush pilots, guys that are, I mean, I just see a little microcosm of micro ecosystem that I'm familiar with that a sheep hunt in. But yeah, the age thing, I always figured, I think I've shot one ram on age in all the years that I've guided, and it was 10. And that was always my shtick. I wasn't going to shoot a ram on age unless I was confident it was 10. So that would probably help, and maybe that full curl law, maybe that's got to be beefed up and maybe be a little bit more strict with that. People are always going to flirt with, margins there. I don't know. That might help. That save a few sheep. It's not going to solve the problem.
No,
but,
you're right about that. That's definitely
one.
not going to solve the problem.
No, not at all.
So what's your what's your typical Alaska schedule? Because it sounds like you're not only doing sheep, right? You're doing other guiding, and so what's like an average schedule you got going on up here?
Yeah, well, I've cut back quite a bit. I've got young kids. My daughters are 11 and 12, so I'm kind of trying to stay home more for them. That, and I'm getting a little bit older, and sleeping on the ground for 3 months straight ain't what it used to be. So I used to guide, guide hunters anywhere from, usually about 95 to 110 days out of the year. Between spring bear, spring brown bear, I do some on Kodiak Peninsula, and then sheep in August, caribou, grizzly bear, moose in September, and then brown bear again in October. Now I'm kind of doing about 60 days out of the year. I did my last moose hunt year before last, or at least for the foreseeable future. So now I'm just doing brown bear, grizzly bear, Dall sheep, and caribou. So that kind of just frees me up a little bit, not guiding moose in September, so I'm not gone for quite so long.
Nice. So when you get a hunter that comes with you, like what's something that they need to be prepared for? Or is there like a speech that happens or
checklist?
Well, I figured the master, Jesus, would always speak in parables. I always figure out the mark of a good outfitter. I worked for a good one for a bunch of years. His name was Ralph Miller. He was a hillbilly from West Virginia, came up to Alaska in the military. And so what he would do, the hunters didn't even realize it. I'd say a few of them maybe did, but honestly, I think most of them didn't. Is he would tell them stories, and every story had an anecdote, and every story would kind of lead, basically teach the hunter a lesson, and he would kind of tell a story about what he would call a peckerhead. Ralph would call him a peckerhead client. And what the hunters never realized is there was probably a little bit of that peckerhead client in each and every one of them. And he was basically using that peckerhead to give, to be kind of an example of for the hunters of what not to do. He'd tell the story about the guy who, wasn't safe with his rifle, or the guy that didn't listen to his guide, or the guy that wanted to give up on day 8. And here he shot the biggest ram of the season on the last afternoon, So I would say that's one thing that I learned is, you gotta keep the guys mentally engaged, because so basically the spirit works the mind works the body. And the body's going to start shutting down first. And if the spirit's strong, it'll keep the mind engaged. But if the spirit gets beat, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right? And once a guy is mentally shut down, if he doesn't have the spirit to keep going, if you can't keep his will engaged, once he shuts down, there's almost no bringing him back.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
quick.
I'd say that's a tough part for a guide, and also that only comes with time as a guide and experience, because a young guy, they can work those clients to death, and by day 2 or 3 they just want to go home because their feet are hurting so bad, they're so wore out. And so you got to have discernment. It's just like anything, you got to know when it's time to push, when it's time to rest. You got to be just like a wild animal, they'll a lot of, and as for an inexperienced guy, like, nature is black and white. Okay, when a moose is expelling more calories than he's receiving eating, he knows it, and boom, he just lays down and he relaxes and he waits for a shift in the weather. We as human beings, particularly in the real world, if you're guiding a CEO, I can tell you what the CEO is going to say. The CEO is going to say, well, we're not going to shoot anything here from the tent. And what they don't realize is, well, if we go walking up into the snow, up into the mountains, if there's any sheep up there, all we're going to do is chase them away. What we need to do is just sit here and rest, wait for a break in the weather, and wait until, nature allows us, and then we go. And so, yeah, it's kind of as a guide, you kind of walk a tightrope of, keeping them happy, keeping them engaged. One of the common things is like what we'll call a political move. And so you'll be in a camp and you're not seeing much, and the hunter starts complaining, and a lot of times the outfitter will move him just to keep him happy, even though, just so he can't say, oh, we didn't get one, I should have moved.
Yeah, we didn't try. We didn't try anything else. So you're appeasing the hunter.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
So if you were,
you got to find somebody good. You got to trust them.
If you were gonna give advice to someone who was 19-year-old, wanting to do what you did, get into guiding, like, how do they vet clients? I guess when they get in, they really don't even have that opportunity. But down the road, like, how do you vet clients enough so you can avoid those peckerheads?
Yeah, good, very good question. Well, I'd say it's just like anything. It comes with time. I can usually, I figure I can pick them out and within 5 sentences, probably to a 95% success rate. First red, it's kind of like dating. It's like a bunch of red flags.
That's true.
If she starts talking about all of her ex-boyfriends and relationships gone bad, and before the first drink is down, you probably better turn and run,
Yeah.
But, so if they start talking about, if they start telling you what they've killed, I shot a 320 bull elk, I shot something up 400-inch disc right off the bat. I mean, for some people that might be what they want. For me, I guess I believe that birds of a feather flock together. That's probably not the bird that I want to fly with. So that's right off the bat. Success. One big thing that I always try to do with everything in life is under promise and over deliver. So if you can do that, and if you can undersell something, and they still want to go, you probably got a pretty good dude. You kind of spell out worst case scenarios rather than tell them, dream scenarios. That's one thing I've learned with like working with outfitters that have booking agents sell their hunts. A lot of times those hunts are misrepresented. They're like, well, I'm here for a 65-inch moose. Like, okay, but what will you really shoot? Yeah, that's good. Everybody wants a 65. Yeah, they're here, but if you can't, I tell guys all the time, you can shoot a 65-inch moose, but you got to be willing to go home without one. So if you're willing to go home without one, let's hold out for a 65-inch moose. If not, you better shoot the first 60 you see. And if he's high 50s, you probably better shoot him. So I guess my advice for 19-year-old kids, take what you can get. People aren't worried about, let's say if you're flying for a job or you want to be a packer, don't have your mom call me or call an outfitter, write a handwritten letter, and people aren't as interested about what you know as they are what you're willing to do. And that'd be my best advice for a 19-year-old kid. Yeah, if you're willing to do whatever it takes, and if you're willing to work hard, people will take notice of that, particularly in this day and age, and doors will open for you.
Yep, I tell my kids religiously, like, if you're gonna have one talent, just be the hardest worker in the room.
Yep.
I always show them the worst, and if they like that, well, it only gets better from there. Girlfriends doesn't matter. I'm like, you want to be single in today's day? Go show them the worst, and then it only gets prettier from there, right?
Yep, there you go.
Billy, if you had to choose one game meat to eat for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Well, I just had some bison the other day. Actually, we just had some. It wasn't wild, but it was really good. Dall Sheep's pretty good. I've had Mustock's burger. It was pretty good, really good. I like moose. Dall Sheep would probably be the best that I've had.
Nice.
Yeah, and I haven't had a ton. I mean, I've had a fair bit, but Dall Sheep's pretty much at the top of the list for me.
So I have a question. Have you really not? You've guided this long in Alaska, and you haven't taken a big game animal out of here. Is that true?
No, I had an opportunity. Yeah, I had an opportunity a couple of years ago. I was filming a wolf. We were in an area where you didn't need a tag, and I didn't have a client. And I called this wolf into within, I don't know, about 100 yards, and I was filming it the whole time. And all of a sudden, he kind of started going away, and I just realized, man, I could have shot that thing. And I don't know. I really didn't want to. I just figured, well, if I shoot it, I'm not going to get as much footage. And I don't know. Yeah, I really don't have a burning desire to do it anymore. If I went up there, maybe someday, if there was an animal that I would want to hunt, I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I would pass it up. I mean, if it was like 12 years old at least, I don't even think I would consider shooting it unless it was 12 years old. But of course, if it was an 11-year-old and it was 43 inches or something, I'd probably shoot it. But I don't know. I want mine going on my own Dall Sheep hunt. Maybe.
So that's
maybe
what it would be if you finally did it. I think it's unbelievable that you have guided here that long. I mean, that makes. I almost don't want you to hunt anything here now because it's like. It's so much better. Alive. It's an unbelievable story.
Yeah, it's my streak.
It's a great
there you go.
Story.
That's your
Yeah,
streak.
back to the street.
Well, I think isn't that the ultimate culmination of the guide experience is to fill someone else's tank with that, like that fills Billy's tank.
That's what you were saying earlier. It's better for him to, it's like coaches in anything. By the way, Billy, did you ever wrestle? Quick question.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So I read your profile.
Every boy from Wisconsin will wrestle.
Yeah.
Oh, he wrestled.
I saw you were a wrestler, and I saw you follow some wrestling thing, and I was like, man, it's like I never wanted to wrestle, and I got forced into it, and I learned so much about myself. And then, I see in your videos, like you just kind of take that out into the wild, and then also your religion and everything, like connecting with nature, but that struggle. It's just you against nature when you're out there. And then, of course, you have your client you got to keep alive at some point, right? But, for the most part, like that whole connection, wrestling and everything. And, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to be honest with yourself. When you're out there on the mat, it's what the truth is revealed. And I had an old outfitter from Idaho told me, nature is the great equalizer. And that's what I love about it, because whatever you did to prepare for that wrestling match, I didn't even wrestle in high school, to be honest. I wrestled all through in junior high and I played basketball. But whatever you did, the truth is revealed. There, you can jaw all you want, you can trash talk, and you can look at the guy and stare at him like you're some chimpanzee and try to intimidate him. But as soon as the whistle blows, the truth is going to come out. Yeah.
It's you versus him.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on with us, and I have one more question before we let you go. But anyone that is wondering where to get the DVDs, on Instagram, it's The Modern Day Mountain Man. The website is BillyMollsAdventures.com. I'm assuming that's where everyone can get your videos. Before we let you go, the last question I have is, what makes Alaska so special?
It's unforgiving.
Great answer.
It's a land of extremes.
Man.
There's
That
extreme
sums it
highs,
up, doesn't it?
there's extreme lows. And what everybody wants to show, and what everybody wants everybody else to see, and what everybody else wants in life are the mountaintop experiences. But life isn't lived on the mountaintops. Life is lived in the valley.
Yes, it is. Yes,
Well
it
said.
is.
Well
Up
said.
and down, up and down.
That's one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Yeah, well said, Billy, man. Thanks a lot for coming on today, tonight, and giving us some of your time, brother.
All right, my pleasure, fellas. Appreciate it.
Go Pack, go.
Good.
All right. Happy New Year, Billy.
Good luck next
All right,
season.
thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you,
night.
Billy.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Since 2008, Serrano's is Anchorage's own new generation of old cocina. Their menu showcases the passion and love of their rich heritage and unique family recipes that have been passed down through the generations. Serrano's goal is to embrace and display trad flavors using the best ingredients that are available. They focus on making everything from scratch daily. In-house menu includes handcrafted corn tortillas, salsas, carne asada, and chorizo. But don't take their word for it. Experience their tradition and sabor for yourself. Locations on Tudor and Northern Lights, both with new tequila bars. Check out their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
The Connoisseur Lounge, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. The Connoisseur Lounge is Palmer's first locally owned and operated cannabis retailer. Their beautiful store is located at 226 Evergreen Avenue. The Connoisseur Lounge has exclusive cannabis products such as Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and one of our favorites, Sugar Cookies. And if you're not into the flower, the Connoisseur can hook you up with edibles, vape supplies, and a ton of CBD options for all your health and inflammation needs. Check out their daily deals at theconnoisseurlounge.net, or even better, stop by the lounge today. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Sorry, Dan, I mean to
that's
snap
only-
at you there. Like,
Big thanks for Billy for coming on,
Yeah.
sharing his time with us, and thank you for the listeners for absorbing that, and something different. We normally like to have the person in here, but man, what a
Yeah.
good job to Billy. Thank you for his time.
Man, he spoke so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like he was prepared for our questions, and he had zero preparation, and we didn't tell him anything we were going to ask. He was just ready for it, man.
He's used to that free form when you watch his videos
Yeah.
on YouTube. He just goes.
He is a man who is very, very comfortable in his skin, man.
Yeah.
As far as like who he is, what he represents, and just how he carries himself.
Well,
It's
I
inspiring
think when
too,
you're
man.
when you're like a truth seeker and a truth teller,
yeah.
you just naturally are, because you're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
So how could
Yeah.
you not be comfortable? You know what I mean? Like when you, I'm not a religious person, but I do love that about people that are devout and they carry that faith. Like, and you're obviously going to get the people who aren't with anything, right?
Yeah.
But when you meet someone like that, who you can tell like it's important to him and it makes him who he is, and he's like,
He's respectable.
Yeah, because it is guiding him to be a great person.
Yeah, whether you
Yeah.
agree with
Yeah.
how he carries himself, what he does, what he says, what he speaks, you cannot deny his conviction and just what he is on this like planet.
Well, and he believes in it. If you, I was
Like, he's
watching
fully-
the bow versus gun, and he's like, unless you're gonna go take the bow, go up the mountain or wherever you're going, and shoot that animal, get within 40 yards, and leave your gun behind, you obviously don't want to shoot this with a bow or whatever, or use the bow. He's like, you either go,
You're
all the
writing a
way in and
story
devote, or you don't.
Oh, if you want something with a bow, you only take your bow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're writing
There's
a
no-
story
there's no way about it.
that is not what you really want it to be if you choose to bring both.
Yeah.
You know, you have to accept like you're gonna go home without something,
right?
Most likely,
and that's what he said
by taking this approach. You're going to.
You know about that, Chad?
Yeah, I do.
Well, you know what's really cool, like Chad,
Most likely is
we've shared this story lots of times.
You gotta go a little further than most likely.
Oh, he was saying like 1% to like 2 or 3, and then you get good, and maybe it's a 5% chance. Like it's
like
it's crazy.
Like I have a perfect story with Chad. We told this story many times. Like we went on a sheep hunt together, and I brought my rifle, like just because I brought my rifle and a tag, but I wasn't gonna get a sheep. In my mind, we were gonna get Chad a sheep. He forgot his ammunition for his rifle, so he brought the rifle. He went through he went through the motions of like I was gonna carry his rifle, but then when he realized he didn't have it, he's like, "Well, fuck, I'm just gonna take this thing with a bow or nothing." Yeah. It was like the great equalizer, dude. It was like, well, that's an easy decision.
Well, I forgot that though because of the fact that like I brought my rifle just because we hadn't hunted together. And I've had experiences with people where like they get a malfunction. So I wanted my rifle there just in case something happened with your rifle.
And I wasn't saying that you were like, oh well, I might go to switch to the rifle because you had that chance.
Yeah,
but you had my perfectly good operating rifle to take a ram, and you said no.
Yeah, no, definitely. I wanted.
That's what I knew for sure. I was like, oh shit! Like
that's why I forgot the ammo. I'm defending myself on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, 2023 is the year, dude.
Because I wasn't really into
it's the bow year.
I just forget. I normally would. I mean, I'm pretty like checklist. Like,
but you know, we got into distance on a couple rams 2 days before we took one that was bow range.
Yeah,
and they weren't legal.
But
close. We were there. Like he could have had an opportunity.
Like if they were legal.
If they were legal. Yeah. So to me, I thought that was the most like successful day was getting in that close. I got it on film.
Yeah.
They're like 20 yards away. Dude, we got right up on them. I mean, it was like I went down, I threw the rock, popped him up. He's up above. We went through all the motions of actually doing the act. Yeah. We just didn't actually he didn't draw and take one. And so, but it was cool, man.
On top of that, they never scented us.
No, that's the whole thing. Like
so we didn't blow them out. Like they saw us. I mean, we stared right at them, standing up.
We purposely blew them up.
But they didn't blow out because they never scented us.
That's crazy.
So we did everything 100% right. They just weren't legal.
So to the whole accepting, like if you're gonna do it. Again, I said earlier in the show, conviction. Leave your rifle in the safe. Homie brings a rifle because you never know. You might have a bear charge. You might have a lot of weird things go down.
Protection.
Protection. And so, and just having, I mean, what if something goes wrong with the bow? Like, what if a string breaks or something you can't fix? Like, you got to still have a way to still perform the hunt.
Right.
And so there's a lot of different things, but.
That's why I keep a blow dart army.
One last ditch effort.
Full switchblade. You know, just one of those,
I just do the
90s kids.
One of those frogs from Colombia.
I have 5 marbles and a slingshot right to the eyeball.
A bunch of frozen paintballs in his pocket.
Done.
No, well, like Billy was telling a story on his YouTube, and he was saying like if you don't leave it, then you might get conflicted. You might say, "Oh, but I have that option to get the gun." Or no, it's like,
you'll use that option.
You're
like it's human nature to hit the easy button when you can. Like you're gonna do it.
He had a guy do it
to go home.
Shot it, and it was like a 7-year-old, like not legal, whatever. And the guy just kind of they doubled up in front of each other or something, shot it, and it's because the guy was like, "Bo, no, go this, go that," and he just was conflicted and. Too much thought process. Your mind is your own worst enemy, especially like you watch the Alone shows. And so once you get alone in the woods and you're wet and you're cold and you haven't showered in a month and a half like he's talking about, it's just crazy. Yeah. Your mind descends into madness. And he's like those guys he was telling us about. It's like all of a sudden you got to be mentally tough.
Yeah. It is 100%. Sheep hunting is 100% mental.
Yeah.
I mean, fitness just makes like the whole sheep shape thing, like that just helps. You can go further. It doesn't 100% make you more successful.
Yeah.
I mean, I preach it because I'm just preaching the fact that like what you can control is so small anyway that you might as well like work hard at all the things you can control. So like fitness to me is like, I'm not like, I was late onset hunter, right? I think everyone was, right?
Yeah. I've only been.
None of us did it as kids. I mean, I did it as kids, but then
you took a break in your 20s where you're hunting other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just think you took
that was high school.
You took a new approach at like
Your downtown
seriousness and level 2. Yeah.
You're at the
pioneer hunting. Yeah, it's hard to hunt in the dark with all those mirrors behind the bar.
I'm pretty good at it.
Throwing PBRs, hitting girls.
But what I mean is that I don't have like because you haven't been doing it since you were 19 guiding like he is.
Yeah.
Like I don't have that knowledge, that vast knowledge of like predicting what animals are going to do, where they're going to be, I'm still learning. That's why I love it so much. Is like I'm learning so much every year because it's like I'm learning what they eat. I'm learning patterns and like stuff like that now. But I don't. So like I gotta rely on fitness because if I'm lacking the other skills, I'm gonna hone whatever I can to the best. So I'm gonna shoot a lot and I'm gonna try and be in shape, and that's what I can control. So
when we cross that glacier and we're going for this sheep going up the mountain, you're going to carry somebody out of a crevasse. You may not shoot it, but you'll carry the guy out the crevasse.
Yeah, exactly.
Good to know.
You got to know your role, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. I wasn't even supposed to go to Kilimanjaro. Okay, like it was someone else, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go.
You fell ass backwards into that?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just went up near point a bunch of times. All this hiking in the snow, whatever. Here we go. Let's do it. So
perfect.
Sometimes
Some things are meant to be like that.
Well, that's what I mean because it's mental.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be the fastest guy up that mountain, but I'll make it.
Not a race anyway.
Yeah.
Tenge, have you mountain hunted?
No, not really, no. I mean, not like
Let's
that.
get into
Sounds
that.
like you do it, though.
Oh, he's been going caribou hunting with Johnson
Been
and doing
caribou
some
hunting.
stuff.
I've learned a lot. Like
Who's Johnson?
our buddy plays goalie for
Is
us.
that a
for
first
hockey.
name?
Actually,
Last
number
year.
one fan. Hold on, time out. Number one subscriber on our YouTube channel.
Oh,
Johnson?
yeah?
Yes.
Is Johnson
number
first?
one. And actually, I made him the hoodie, the number one subscriber hoodie.
Oh, yeah.
That was the reason why
That
we
was
made the
Johnson?
high vis.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Johnson is great. And it's funny because we go out and Johnson has a certain personality, and so
He's
I'm
a goalie.
real
He's a
laid
hockey
back,
Oh,
chill,
goalies, yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of just operate a little different.
They're like bass players.
Yeah.
Or-
Good comparison.
or,
Good comparison.
Just different.
What's
Pitchers.
I just watched
Pitchers,
that, the
pitchers.
Dirt, Motley Crue. Whatever. Oh, yeah, totally different.
They're just different.
Yeah. One of our buddies we went to high school with.
Telemarkers. There's a whole breed.
He's a
of these
bass
guys.
player he was H3. Oh, yeah.
Saw him today.
That's
Love them though. You love
thinking
those
that same
guys.
thing.
You love those guys.
Why are you still doing that?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy what you learn out there. Like you were saying, I'm starting to get the skills of like where they go, what they do. And he was talking about like, how does he know that animal's gonna put that track on the riverbed? And it's like cool once you start learning.
Oh,
all these
trapping's a
things.
whole nother level.
They do that up in Dawson. They trap, and it's like impressive. The stories they tell. It's like going out doing that. Oh, we know.
I mean, it makes sense that he made that transition. Like if you're trapping as a young kid, like I mean, trappers like that is an intimate knowledge of animals.
Yeah.
Like shooting a moose at 300 yards is like some people are like, oh, that's a feat. No, dude. Placing a thing somewhere that something is gonna step. One step will be in the single spot, like
Single
that
5-inch diameter.
That is
well,
like intimate knowledge of animals and how the woods work.
Well, you'll love this story. So I didn't have a hunting rifle till like 3 years ago or 2 years ago, and so my girlfriend's gonna go hunt moose with her uncle up in Fairbanks, right? And like you said, tree stand, shot it, no problem, whatever. I take her to the range. All the hunters are going. It's like August, whatever. I teach her how to shoot with my AK-47. She goes out and puts 3 holes in this, moose because she shot it and she's waiting. And the uncle's like, Shoot it again. Boom, shoots it again. Still sitting there. Like, all right, one more. Knocks it down. But like you said, 300 yards, 200 yards, 150 yards, no problem. But like you guys are going up to the top of a mountain, no scent, throwing a rock, it's standing up. You know, you guys are that's just very intimate knowledge of what you're hunting and respect for that animal.
Being in the moment too.
I want to talk about the shooting range because I feel like it's intimidating. I feel as if because I'm about to start taking my son to go and learn to shoot. Hopefully he gets his tag or whatever. But even as I go, and I like to go by myself because it's intimidating. I like to go in there by myself, be in my zone, put your head things on, and get your whole rhythm. And there's all these dudes, and you might have this dude next to you shooting at 800 or whatever, is just blowing your whole thing off. Yeah. It's tough.
He's to go in there right there, and it's just shells like tink,
yeah, man. You see these dudes, you're like, man, that dude is legit, and he's got the kick and the thing. But I just feel like, man, there should be some. It's intimidating. Am I wrong?
No,
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
It is,
and I'm
it's like a pressure.
very familiar.
There's a lot of pressure, and I feel like, man, there should be a kid's time or a kid's day. Or a kid something, because I'm going to take my son over there and he's going to see all these dudes that are just like, dude.
What did he say? Peckerheads? Is that what he called?
The one guy, yeah.
You know how he's avoiding them in the guiding world?
Yeah.
There's a lot of them at the range.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
There's so many of them.
I mean, it's tactical, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
And that's why I go to Birchwood, because now it's private.
Yeah. So maybe, is that the move then?
Yeah, because I'm uncomfortable at
Rabbit Creek.
Yes, and they have a range officer who is they're pretty Nazi around there. They're all over it, which I do like that.
Well, he's a nice guy. He's actually
at the same time. I was down there. I was down there with yeah, and he should listen to this then.
He know above all else. He knows.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly
I see. Well, it's
about.
Sometimes they're getting on people, and sometimes they're not. I seen him really getting on a guy who was he had a SBR, so he had they're selling them as pistols, right? They're getting around the whole short barrel rifle thing by having what they call an arm brace, and it's not a.
Oh, that was the dude next to me.
Okay,
dude.
so you have that. So I seen him getting onto a guy who's shooting that one handed.
Yes,
and they're like, you can't do that. We can't have you shooting a carbine one-handed. And he's like, it's a pistol. And the guy's right, literally. But then, and he's really riding this guy to the point, the dude's getting so mad, he wants to fight him. And I'm like, we're at a gun range, fellas. This is not the place for a fight, because some dumbass friend or you is going to pull a gun. I was like, hey, man, you're arguing a fact that's a gray area. You know what you're doing. I just jumped in. I was like, it's not worth it. Just put it on your shoulder and shoot it, man. Or go somewhere to a gravel pit. This is a sanctioned place by Fish and Game.
Yeah.
But then I was there another time and helping Wes's buddy Zach sighting his rifle, and next to us, I got a dude who is fucking Instagramming while he's shooting his pistol
sideways,
a gangster.
Oh, shit.
100% with his dad behind him. He's a young kid. He's probably 19, 20, 21. I guess got to be 21. He had a pistol. And I'm just I'm like, Zach, man, is this thing sighted in? Because I'm ready to go. And same thing. It was hunting season, so it's packed.
Yeah, yeah.
Dude, I love Birchwood. Yeah. I love Birchwood.
It's not the same now, because Birchwood had the same feel, but without
Birchwood
the fucking
now
guy there.
It's a membership thing now. It's private.
I know, but when you still go there, it's not as packed as it was before.
I mean, it gets packed, but it's so big, and they've done so much work. They're making it so nice.
So it's worth it.
That's where my buddy takes his kid. So my thing to you is, as a kid that didn't grow up around guns a lot, take them out to the woods, find a spot, get them used to the bang bang and the shoulder and the whole thing, so at least they're comfortable with the weapon itself as the kick and the whatever. Because I took my girlfriend to Rabbit Creek. The whole thing was full. She was in the stand-up thing too with the AK, standing up in that little blind thing or whatever. So get them used to the sound, the recoil, the whatever, and the rules, And then when they go to Birchwood or Rabbit Creek or whatever, they're a little bit more comfortable with what's about to happen and what's going to happen around them, and they can focus more on the shooting than, you know, my AK throws shells like 25 feet and they were landing in the back of our
I just
hoodies
feel
and
it's just
burning
the
us.
most unnatural place
Years ago, but
to go learn to shoot. It's the most unnatural place to go.
Yeah.
There's just banging going all around. There's dudes like
difficult.
literally like in arm's length from you.
It's madness.
It's madness, dude.
And then some dude was shooting the number rock, and the guy had to like get on his ass, and he told him like 3 times. Finally, had to kick his ass.
That's what I mean. They have a
Kick
guy.
him out, huh?
You're shooting the rocks, you know,
The yardage
number,
Oh, he's trying to shoot the rocks?
He's shooting yardage rocks.
the lanes, yeah.
They have them so you know what lane you're in, and
I've
Like,
very
they're like
rarely
cement
have
blocks.
I ever seen an asshole like of that level.
I've seen it a couple
At the-
times
at the
there,
range.
and that's why they have. That's
I
why
go
their
all the
range
time.
guy has to be. Their range officer has to be so like that, and they like you got to wait for them to run the time to switch.
Yeah.
Birchwood.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the rules. The range officers drive around in like side by side, and they just like sit back there and make sure that everyone is following the rules. And then you just are talking to the dudes next to you, and it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
It's
we clear?
casual.
Are we hot? Are we clear? Are we hot? Are you guys? Is it cool if I go down and change my targets? And then you don't have to wait that 30 minutes.
Well, I've been to Birchwood before they made it private or whatever, but I just think there's a lot of room for improvement in these shooting ranges.
Yeah.
Some privacy. I don't know. They
Well,
need
there's
more
a lot
of
of
them.
room
They
for
need
improvement
more of
in
them.
gun owners.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
They should.
You know what I mean?
They need to
that too.
just
Like I wouldn't be opposed if it was like you were required to take a class.
totally.
Oh,
I'm with him.
you on that.
Like it's like a driver's license. You gotta have it provisional. The thing you gotta have a gun license. You gotta have a license to ride or shred, boys. You know.
Or a license to go to the shooting range. Like before you even
Yeah, get
step out
like
there,
certified.
watch this video,
Yeah.
take
Yeah,
a little
certified.
3-question quiz, and then go out there.
It's
I mean,
like,
I understand a lot of it and like the constitutional right of it and all that, but
Yeah.
like
the freedom of it.
everyone just doesn't take responsibility and ownership in it. And like people are like, oh, my dad taught me how to shoot. And it's like, and you see it and you're just like, I mean, it's like your buddy sweeps you with the barrel and you're like, okay, dude, that's once.
Yeah, let's strike one.
The second time I'm going to yell at you. The third time you're getting hit in the throat.
Yeah, and you're done. I'm gonna grab that.
And I'm
gun
taking
right out of
that
your
gun
hand.
away and
Yeah,
we're
you're
done for the
with-
day.
You're done.
It's like,
yeah.
I honestly don't even want to take them to the range to shoot. I want to just go out somewhere.
It's
with
better.
the snow
That's-
machine
I
or
mean, that's
a
what I
thing,
do.
and just like this is because this is how it's going to be. It's going to be quiet.
Yeah.
It's going to be you and your thoughts. It's going to be the animal.
yeah.
There's not going to be 20 dudes on your
Well-
left and 4 dudes on your right.
Cars honking.
Honestly,
each other as they
the
merge
gun
on
the
way on
gun
highway.
range is after you've had some experience, because if you're trying to teach your kid how to, like, okay, you've gone through the safety and the fundamentals and how to work the gun and all that, and now you're literally legitimately to a point where you want the kid to learn to aim.
Yeah.
The gun range is hard for a kid because big guns are going off and like that's spooking you, and you're like, so you're going to develop bad habits with your trigger pull and closing your eyes, wincing, whatever. It's better to just, do on a camping trip. 360, we could totally set up. Like next year, I will bring
That's what we should do.
I will bring steel targets out there, and we can run a whole gun course with all those kids. Like legit, like I will run it like
That'd be a
Ron.
fun activity.
I will run it like Ron.
I also think that
His whole
there's-
speech and
I
everything.
love that idea. I also think that it should not private. Well, private would be awesome. Privatized ranges, which you can do. I know you can do, but like you can rent it. Like, hey man, I'm gonna rent the range or this section of the range, like the range.
I
So it's
believe-
like me and all my kids and
Yeah,
his kids and
yeah,
our kids. So we're gonna go
Several
and we're gonna
parents
actually
and
go
group of
and
kids.
set it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like just randos shooting all kind of crazy.
Well, and they got
things.
those new shooting headphones. So when me and Johnson went hunting, we took another guy with us, and he's ex-military, but he had the headphones
that you can talk to each
that
other.
you can hear what's going on.
Good sound dampening.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there like, you good? You good?" Yelling, and he's like, I can hear you.
No
It's
need
like,
to yell.
Oh, sorry.
Well, a lot of that is
I'll
like,
pipe down.
a
Sorry.
lot of that's in place to improve the experience at the range.
Yeah.
And I kind of have like a love-hate. I kind of have a love-hate because I think if you continue to go, you start to develop some level of tolerance to that chaos that's there.
Yeah.
You get comfortable with what their rules and do's and don'ts are, which is just 100% safety. That's all it is. That's all they care about.
Yeah.
Are some of those guys maybe over the top in terms of their position and how that whole thing works? Yeah, sure, probably. There's always going to be those guys and gals in those roles or whatever. But in general, the message there is like
Safety,
really safe.
not ethics.
Yeah, and I do appreciate that. I've had a lot of experience with my daughter at the range, and I figured out like days of the week where it's not so crazy.
Right.
Times of the day where there's like the range master is not even actually running the range. It's just like you and two other dudes.
Well, all summer is like, the best. Like, that's good.
Well,
August is not when you want to take your kids.
What I want to
Or your girlfriend.
Yeah. What I want to say to the benefit of both arguments, because everything you guys said is absolutely correct. The pressure, how it makes you feel, it can be a negative environment actually a lot of the times, and a negative experience with a firearm, which sucks because they're already very dangerous. They already make you feel a certain way. They already make you feel uncomfortable. If you're competent in what you're doing with a firearm, you feel the pressure of like what it means and what it is and why it should be respected. So it's kind of a negative place, as a lot of experiences can be when it's not safe and it's not comfortable. But you can work your way to that with that range by timing it out and you know, just I feel like they know when you roll in, the way you walk in, where you set your stuff, you come in, you got your stuff in, you know, you're carrying yourself a certain way. I feel like they can tell, like,
For sure.
Okay, he's a guy's a shooter.
Safe guy.
Yep. And you just roll through there and you find your lane and you're like 2 people away and just like, you can just sit there for 2 hours and have a good experience and like find those moments. So it's not attainable at our local shooting range, especially Rabbit Creek. So I want to shed a good light.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like they're very, very important.
You know,
and I would never want it to go away.
I'm not defending it. I'm just saying to like look at both sides of the spectrum of what the experience can be. I say don't give up.
Well,
you go out and buy real quick, if you go out and buy a firearm and you go through the motions and you want to learn how to shoot it responsibly and safely and ethically and all those things, like keep going and persevere and learn how to get through it, because that also there is some experiences that can be had there when it comes to the pressure of like actually when you use the firearm to take an animal in the field, like the more repetitions you have are always going to be better than
if that's
not.
your option.
So like,
if that's your option, absolutely go there rather than not shooting.
Right.
Yep.
100%.
Like
and to be clear, like what I was talking about, those 2 horrible experiences there, those were both in August.
Yeah, like when and
it was because I was there with a friend who's like waits to the last minute to sight in their rifle. Both times.
What's his name?
I named one. It wasn't Zach. Zach was confirming 0. He was having some problems with his scope or something. But
my thought on
the other one
thing,
I won't name.
My thought on the whole thing is like when they closed the river and it was kids only for like, I don't know, an hour or 2, one Tuesday out of the month or first Tuesday or something like that, where it's only kids. You know what to expect. You got the parents. Maybe you have a couple of range guys so that
they have a kids only time.
No, I'm saying this is what I'm proposing is they should have a kids only time.
Hour or something, or 2 hours in the week.
It's 2 hours on a Tuesday or whatever the slowest time in the range is, so you're not impeding other people's times. And it says, hey, this is the 2 hours we're going to let kids only with their parents come in and shoot rifles only. That way there's no pistols, there's no shotguns going off.
Yeah,
just like those. And then there's a pistols only night. Maybe that's the second Tuesday in the month or whatever the case may be. And then shotguns for clay and all that other stuff later, so that you only have the one weapon going off. And I learned more in the concealed weapon permit class. Same with the abate motorcycle deal when I bought a motorcycle than I did ever. And I totally think they should get licenses.
Sure.
Hunter's Ed,
or just a class.
Just a class. I feel like I guess I'm just going to say it. I've done the Hunter's Ed class twice with my daughter and done it myself.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why aren't we all having to do this to get a license?
Anna had to do it to go shoot that moose.
It's kind of redundant.
You do it. If you're born after 86, I think you do.
Yeah. She had to
that's
go,
true.
I think it's required now. We're just old.
Well, that's very true. Oh, good point.
We didn't have to, but I think they do now. And what I totally forgot. What I totally forgot, and this solves that problem at Rabbit Creek.
For the youth
is
program.
Rabbit Creek has, and I just never use it. If you look over to the right, like farther to the right from where the ranges are and the house, that is a rimfire only range. And there, you can go over there with your son and shoot 22s all day and not be bothered and it not be intimidating, and it'll be way quieter.
By the
and I totally
he's ready to go to the
that.
next. I mean, we've been shooting 22. He's been shooting that, but it's like now
He's
it's
ready
like
to shoot a 308
we're ready
or
to shoot
like a
something
big
else,
boy
you know.
rifle.
So it's like we gotta, we want to be safe about it.
Then you gotta take him to Fallujah.
Well, you know what another option is.
Get in the chopper, boy.
Camp 360. Bring the sling and the whole thing.
Well, we're so blessed to go out to Gary's and enjoy that property. He's got the shooting range, and we take the kids. That's a good.
That's true.
You go right down there, back the truck up.
But I'm just saying in general, man, there's so much room for improvement for that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Man.
You know?
There is.
And we never really talked about it, but I just, like, even myself as a grown man, and I've been hunting and shooting for a long time, like, I want to go by myself because I'm so intimidated. I want to be so focused on just what I got to do.
You don't want to have conversation.
And I don't want to hang out, dude. I'm trying to go in there and just get it done.
And do work.
And be out. But it should be the spot where you're like, man, I'm going to come spend some hours out here and shoot this.
Take your
bullshit
time.
with your
this.
homies. Yeah.
Take your time. Let the barrel cool.
But it's not that vibe. It's definitely not.
No, it's madness.
But I mean, and guns should remain intimidating.
Yeah.
But I think
That's
that
good
for
that-
listeners out there, if guns are new to you or you're getting one, because like, COVID caused like the most gun purchases in like history by far.
Yep. It cures COVID.
It does.
In Africa,
Just buy
they
firearms.
just prayed it away. It's gone.
Little gunpowder smoke.
Just shoot.
Gunpowder smoke does cure some stuff. It's like Jaeger.
Yeah.
But in the air.
You get vaccinated? Yeah.
But what
shot
I
of
was going to
Jaeger.
say is if this is
That was
new to you
Africa.
and you're going to get into it, like,
You guys aren't wearing masks?
take
Who
a
prayed it
lesson,
away?
man.
We just prayed
Take a lesson.
Yeah, take a basic pistol, basic carbine courses. Like, they're not expensive. You're going to get a lot of shooting. They're going to run you through stuff like learning how to deal with malfunctions and stuff. You're going to learn so much more in one of those courses than you are from your dad, your grandpa. I don't care if he's a cop. I don't care if unless he is a firearms instructor. You will learn more from one of those. Like, you just will. You just will. And it's not someone you know. And that's one of the things, like, it goes back to, like, like someone at this point in my life for the last 15 years, someone's like, hey, teach me how to snowboard. I'm like, take 3 lessons.
Yeah.
And then I'll teach you.
Totally.
Because you're not going to listen to me because I'm your homie or I'm your boyfriend or whatever at the time, You won't listen to me. You're just going to get mad at me, tell me to fuck off when I'm like, get up. Mm-hmm. But you ain't going to tell an instructor that.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with firearm. Like, go get some instruction from someone who you, one-on-one, you will be dialed in and you will be paying attention.
That's a good idea for a kid too, because
absolutely,
as anything with a
paying
kid, when you're the son, the dad, or the mom is trying to teach a kid, like, he's going to listen better sometimes.
Yeah,
to the teacher,
especially the safety
instructor.
stuff and that stuff, and then the nuances, aiming, putting your placing your finger right on the trigger, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can teach that.
Well, that's kind
it's all
of
later
the
with
road we
repetition.
led with my kids getting into bow hunting. Like, we went up there to Full Curl, and we'll take some guys up there to Screaming Eagle. My other son, I'm going to take him over there.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not going to teach you nothing. I obviously don't know. I want you to go with the expert.
Yeah.
Learn. Then I'm going to go learn, and then we're going to go learn together.
Because
By
then,
going to do it.
Because the other thing is, like, if you talk to my boy Ron, who, like, this is what he does. Like, this is his job now. He teaches firearms, and he will tell you, hands down, like, give me a brand new shooter over anything.
Yep.
Because
Breaking
they don't
habits
have
and all
any
that.
habits that I have to break, or they're not going to be like, well, that's a dumb way to do it. And it might, and there's
Clean
different
slate.
ways to do stuff, but, and that's why, like how you said, your girl, like, put 3 right in the like same spot on a moose. Like girls can shoot.
They're patient.
They're patient.
Boy.
They pay
Calm.
attention.
Yeah.
And
Patient
and
calm.
they learn. They just learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my wife will like touching.
Yeah.
It's like what?
I know my mom, one of her students took her out to Rabbit Creek and was, we're going to shoot like a 44 mag or whatever, 45. And she put this grouping like this. And she's 78, 77 now. I mean, but back in the, just boom like this. And he's like, oh man, it's like, don't make you mad. And she's not a gun person, doesn't own a gun, none of this.
Just picked it up and
Just very calm. They take the information well, they breathe well, and they just boom.
Yeah.
They wait for it. Guys are like anticipating
like, come on.
and
Yeah,
doing the
all
thing.
impatient.
Because it's manly shit. Guns
Yeah.
are manly.
Turning it sideways like that guy you were talking
yanking
about.
that
Pushing
trigger.
the bullets. You got to push the bullets.
Yeah, girls are scared, so they squeeze, surprise.
Yeah.
Dude's like getting a surprise on a trigger pull with the dude that you're trying to
like,
teach is like
Good.
painful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's missing everything.
You can just see him closing his eye. Like you gotta show him a video of himself for him to be like, I'm not doing. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like that
Let's go to the
commercial
tape.
now where they're like, should we review the tape? Like dad's
The
like,
challenge.
you did scream at that spider, Dad. And he's
Challenge
like, no, I didn't. And he's like, review the tape.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get
Yeah. And
like
he
your
screams
friends
like
like
a little
look what you're
girl.
doing, dude. This is you.
Yeah.
Yanking the trigger like as hard as you can.
I love that one. He's like, I'm sorry you had to relive that. And he screams like a little girl in it. And you didn't know he did it.
Well, it's like what you said earlier. My wife wants to learn how to shoot pistol, and I'm like, I'm not teaching you.
Yeah.
I'm not teaching you because
Her and Jamie
I'm
should
not,
take class.
I'm not
Yeah.
trained. I have casually fired my pistols, not in any way that's like
Right.
tactical or any sort of like process. I just can hit some shit about 15, 20 yards away, and I feel good about that. But like to teach her and the safety and she needs to go through that, and then we'll go shoot together, and then we can have that time.
For you, what I would do is so this goes to the kids too, but like give them a present, like the birthday, the Christmas, Valentine, whatever holiday you want to do. Give it to them as like a gift certificate to the, shooting guy so that they have skin in the game. It's their
that his
money to
name?
do what they want to do. Yeah,
shooting guy?
that'd be a great name, right? Skin in the game. But when we did the concealed weapon permit thing, there was a bunch of guys, girls, kids, and whatever, and they teach them like self-defense, pull, shoot, don't hesitate, this, that. So there's a lot more things you learn. Like when I bought a motorcycle, I had to be 25. I had to take the AWP Alaska course. I said, otherwise I'm not riding it. And I did it, and I learned a lot about.
Yeah.
And these gun guys, they live and breathe guns. They know all the nuances of stuff that you don't know anything about. They know the recoil, this, that, the ported, the hair, everything. They'll teach you how to clean the thing there, the whole night, and you're bringing your own weapon to it, and they're teaching you
get
these
familiarized
things
with.
as a professional. You're not taking shit from your
you'll
dad
learn so
or
much.
your,
Even if you're an experienced shooter.
I want to
Sure.
like I'm excited for him because I want to go to the classes.
Yeah.
I want to go to the hunter's ed. I want to go to the like shooting dude to show him and me.
It's great info.
Just how it was at the boat place. He's like shooting him, and then he's like, "Can I be next? Can you show me now?"
yeah.
I want to try.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I know. They're like square the shoulders, do the new style, not the old. Yeah.
I will say the most gangster thing when I was at the range the last time. Of course, it's like August, right before we're going to go on the hunt, the actual day before. The worst time ever. And it's just packed, and there's the dude with the freaking thing with the arm. What'd you call that?
It's a brace. That's how they're getting away with calling that a pistol.
Okay,
instead
and
of
this
a
dude,
short-barreled
like,
rifle.
you can just tell, like, this is the guy. He's got like 18 guns out there. He's just gonna blast them. He's out there all day.
Yeah.
And I come in, it's the only one open is next to him, of course.
I got
dude.
$100. He had cargo pants on
Yeah.
Last hour of
for
the
sure.
day.
And a tank top.
and a beard.
And a
Do you have
beard.
the
Sorry,
cage
Brandon.
and the fucking
No, I was on the right where it wasn't even a
bottom, you have
cage. But the most gangster thing I saw was this. There's this dad that comes in, and I'm like, just checking this dude out. He's like waiting for an open spot, and then open spot goes next. So it's me, and then there's the dude with the brace, and then there's a spot next to him. And the dad like calls the kid, like he's even phone calling. I'm just like, oh man, what's going on here? Kid comes out, dude. He's wearing his tights and his cross-country ski boots.
Nice.
Okay. OG gangster comes down, lays down the mat, like doesn't even use the thing. Gets on the ground, just
This is by athlete.
gets up. Dad's like, "You're good." Boom, they left.
By athlete.
2 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
Just came in, kid
Just
sat
hit
down. You could
zero,
tell his
like,
stance. Dude, I'm just watching him. He's got his tights in his ski boots on, his cross country skis. There's his little stance.
What did the tactical dude do? Leave? Did he leave too? What'd you like?
Shamed him.
No, that was my cue. I was like, all right, well, I'm good. I'm on this guy
I
here.
did shame him.
Yeah.
No,
Got to practice how you play, you know? Like,
Oh, it was, dude. He
Might
just
as
came
well.
right out. He just walked up, brought his bag, like he just came, boom, boom, laid down the mat real quick,
yeah.
done.
Yep.
Was out, dude.
I mean, I wear the
in and
most
out.
uncomfortable shit when I go to the shooting range because, like, Johnson will be like in his like nice comfy stuff, sweatpants, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm in the most like bulky whatever because I'm like, this is worst case scenario. Like I'm shooting in winter when like 50 below.
You should shoot. You should practice like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going winter caribou hunting and that's your deal, dude, come out there with the parka.
Just only
You know what I'm saying?
easier.
yeah.
Yeah, because throwing a rifle up on your shoulder,
5
depending on your
layers
gear,
or
man,
whatever.
it changes how far the scope is away. It all.
I almost feel like they could make it like as an improvement, like just make natural things where like, oh, there's a tree here, so this is where you're gonna put your thing on the tree, and you shoot from the tree, or there's a rock here.
Yeah,
and
that's
you're gonna do
called
from the
three gun, bro. They got that.
They have
That's
that?
the competition, though.
Because I never used the little sighting thing because I was like, I'm not gonna have this out there. Like, I want to just be as natural as possible.
Oh, like I'm talking about a sled.
A sled, yeah, the lead
Yeah.
sled or all that stuff. Like, I get it to like sighting a new one or whatever.
I try to convince.
But I'm just
people
like, how
not
could
to
it be
use that.
Yeah,
more
I stopped using
natural?
that years ago.
You know what I'm saying?
You want it to be natural. You should
Yeah.
be.
You should be leaning up against a tree, or there's like
Why
some
don't you-
brush in the way.
I mean,
you know?
bags at the most, like sandbags or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah,
Use
that.
that. Don't the sled. My problem with the sled is that how are you going to learn to manage recoil if you don't shoot feeling
Exactly.
the recoil?
Well,
Yeah.
you just sight in the rifle.
Well, even
with
just the
that, and
backpack,
then
like
you
having the
start
room to
shooting.
be like, because that's what you're mostly shooting with is your backpack, and you're looking for a spot to like put your backpack on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's natural. But that could be like just like thinking crazy. You know,
Yeah.
like could you have like a tree as like spot number 4 is the tree? You know what I'm saying? Spot number 5 is the rock.
You definitely, hey man, there's
they
some
got the
unreal
shack.
ranges out there that offer a lot of crazy
Things
stuff.
like that?
Yeah,
They
That's
got,
cool.
They got the little shack at the far right. I'm sure they could build you a little tree fort over there to just. Because I mean, I usually do.
It's just like old 4-wheeler. You're just on the end of it. You know what I mean?
piece of trash out there.
I mean, even in the like the winter strong thing, like when you get to the rifle part of it, like everyone gets 5 shots on steel, and it's you have to pick like who on your team. Like someone has to shoot standing, someone has to shoot kneeling.
Oh, good.
Someone shoots prone, and then someone shoots like on a barricade, and it's different ranges. Like, and then someone has to shoot prone long range, like 500 yards with all 22s.
See, that's what I was curious about because when I went, and I'm not like an avid shooter, I got a hunting rifle, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do off the bag because that's what I listened to you guys talking about, and Jack and these other guys who shoot all the time. And I'm like, okay, shoot in the bag. Then I'm like sitting up, like, okay, maybe I'm on a rock or something, and I got to beat some trees or grass or whatever, and then I shoot standing up, try and once you kind of get
Switch it
sighted
up.
and comfy, then I'm like, okay, now let's make it uncomfortable and see if I can still hit it.
Offhand, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, once it's on, then you should do that stuff.
That's what I did.
Yeah, totally.
Like
Well,
sit
that's where
down,
you-
do the knee thing, try different angles, because once you get out there and you're actually going to shoot something,
Yeah.
who
You're not
knows
going
where
to be
you
on a
got-
table and a chair.
Yeah, no, that's 100%.
Unless you go to the train station.
Right. Yeah, I don't.
Because we shot everything off the cooler.
I feel like I don't shoot enough standing up. Probably,
Well,
and
I'm
actually
not-
seeing how accurate I am. I
I'm not shooting big game standing up anyway.
mean, I
unless
shot
it's
a
like
couple
deer.
moose standing up, but it was really close, dude.
Yeah.
It was like undeniably, like you can,
If
hit
I'm
the
shooting,
mark.
if I'm
Yeah.
shooting with a scope, if I'm shooting a scoped rifle, I don't have any intention of shooting that thing standing up, unless it's in self defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm not hunting like that. Like if I got put in a position where like I'm having to take my shot standing up, I fucked up.
I I mean,
to get to that position. It can happen for sure. You can bump stuff, and that could definitely happen.
Or get a moose real close.
Yeah, but
or
for the most part,
no.
Well, that's different.
I'd have to do that. But
I saw some of those videos that Billy had online and some other stuff. You know, and there's these giant bears chart. I'm like, you're going to shoot that with a bow. Like,
they look just like that.
Yeah, like, and there was one
a little meaner looking than that.
Actually, there was I remember years ago seeing Ted Nugent going hunting, and this moose charge, huge wreck. And the guy, I think it was a guide or somebody, shot it with a bow, hit it right in the chest, and that thing stopped full charge and like turned around and like I was like, and they showed the slow mo, and I was like, that is impressive.
Like it stopped him dead in his
composure, boom, right, yeah, it was super cool. I was like, what?
I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
I wish I was. But
I'd be climbing a tree for sure. I'd be like,
yeah, I mean, it's just
pull out the 460.
It was good conversation because we don't really like brush the whole like firearm topic very often.
Yeah,
it's controversial in our country and society and the whole shit. You know, our level, my level personally, we're using them for what they were designed for. You know what I mean? Up here and what we're doing, and
well, there's just so many people around now. I mean, back in the day, you know, when you're snowboarding, skiing, and doing whatever, like, you know, you could go out to Portage and shoot and do some stuff and some this and that and whatever. And there's trash everywhere, and that sucks. You know, no one gets paid to clean it up, which I was talking about that on the mountain. Like, why don't you just pay one guy out of all our fees, 1% to clean up, like, and he just comes up and cleans stuff, boom, or gets money for every piece he picks up, whatever the case may be. So he has incentive to get more. You get one piece of trash, you get $5, whatever, US or something, you know, which is a lot of money for them. But, you know, so we'd go to Portage, we'd go to, Sutton, Jonesville Road, we'd go out there and camp and hang out and shoot off some rounds. But now it's just, there's so many people around everywhere, just like sheep hunting, like everything's become so popular and the area's been so known, all the apps and the trails and whatever. You can't just go and pop a couple rounds off because you don't know who's on the other side of those woods.
Yeah, no.
You know, it's just, there's population density for the most part, and people are getting out. Good on them for getting out.
Yeah, that's like, a lot of it. The popularity side of it is that, you know. Have you guys run the one at the end of
oh no, it's on my list.
Of Palmer Wasilla, or the Old Glen?
Yeah,
Mod Road range.
No.
That's a great range. No range master, 100 yards.
Really
beautiful facility. Very quiet, right up against the mountain.
I've never done that
really
one
nice
out in Talkeetna either.
Oh yeah,
that's the long range.
But I met a girl that was shooting at Birchwood. She was teaching a guy actually long range shooting. He had a pretty nice rifle, and she had a lab radar out there. So I asked her if I could.
A what? Lab radar?
Yeah. So you can check your like
speed and all that. Okay,
yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah. And, that's way advanced.
Yeah. So
I'm on JV.
But she,
it's like baseball bag.
Talked to her for a second because I asked her if I could.
Dude, still running a wood stock. I mean, come on, bro.
Hey man, keeping it wood, baby. Shit is strong.
It's like hockey sticks. Like, oh, I'm still rocking the Sherwood. He's like, man, you got to get away. Like, I know you want to stay strong in your old age.
Bro, the Bowers bend now, bro. They bend now.
There's flexes.
They flex. That's what I meant. They flex, bro.
Added power.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chad.
But I've heard that range is great. And she was telling me a little bit about it.
Is that the 1,000-yard one, the one in Birchwood or whatever?
No, Birchwood goes to 300 out there in Talkeetna. I think she said what did she say? 850?
Okay.
Maybe they are 1,000.
That's cool, though. They got the lab radar and everything. That's sick.
Getting into it.
Tenge, what do you got coming for 2023 hunts? Put in for the caribou?
I just put in for the caribou. I need to put in for a few other stuff, and like, you know, so we still got moose from when she shot that moose. So, you know, being a lifelong Alaskan, I try not to like take more than I'm gonna actually use and eat. You know, like if I do salmon, I'm like, okay, I got the jet boat, I got the nets. I'm like, I'll take my buddies and take them dipping and kids, and it's a fun experience for them to do it on top of biking into, you know, rivers or hiking in and fishing and doing all that kind of stuff. But I try not to not over harvest, but just take more than I'm actually going to use. I'd rather run out than
have leftover ones you got to
overstock.
Yeah, me and Jack were talking about this today, just in other terms, but basically it's better to like run out than it is to have excess and be like, oh, now what am I going to do with this? Oh, am I going to gift it at fire sale or gifts? Yeah. And I used to do a lot more gifts, and now I don't. And, I used to smoke a lot more fish, and I don't. And so hopefully 2023 I get more time. That's what that's my goal this year. Get more time, get out with the jet boat. I'd like to do some more rafting, Kenai, other things, even if it's not on my raft or buy a raft or share a raft or whatever. Get out there more. Do some more bike trips. I'd like to do I got a fat bike, so I'd like to do fat bike camping or resurrection, or go in Devil's Creek and rent that cabin, or I actually saw, when I was out there, I saw two dudes on fat bikes with a kid hauler, and they came in, and we saw a ton of caribou tracks hiking through them. And they came in and they were like, hey, you guys see any caribou around here? And it's two dudes on a fat bike. They post up on this little hill and they like set camp. And then they were just biking up and down, going everywhere, like bow hunting.
Yep.
For caribou. And I was like, that's pretty sick. Like, yeah. Way back. I mean, it's only like 12 miles or something into that cabin, I believe.
Yeah,
I've never been
another
down.
way of doing it, though, man.
Back there.
Yeah, and you're getting exercise. You're out. It's about the ride. You're having fun. You're getting scenery. It's beautiful out there.
It's got to be fucking hard, huh?
I don't know.
Some of those poles in the mud and the...
I haven't fat biked down that. yeah. Hope you're ready for the ride out, because the charge is only going to last on the way in. It's like... It's like...
Tow a trailer.
Or so
on
here.
2000.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Totally.
You got them big fold-out solar panels?
Yeah.
You can work around it, man. You can work around it.
God, I remember that. I had that solar radio, and it was like just terrible. It was like or whatever.
Man, they got a long way to go with that shit.
Yeah, Gideon had like that big panel thing that he flipped out, and it actually charged something. The rest was terrible. It was like, man. But they got some cool stuff now.
What can you tell us about River Madness?
Oh, man, the River Madness.
You guys heard of River Madness?
I have.
Oh, dude.
You have? Have you heard of River Madness?
Well, like as a condition, or as like the name of a race, like Cannonball Run,
It's a
you
condition.
develop it over time.
Yeah.
Like you start going crazy.
Yeah. Have you been on an extended river trip? Rafting, floating,
Canoeing.
canoeing, like 10, like
5 days.
5 days. Okay, so you might
like
experience
5
River
canoes.
Madness.
Like,
Yeah, I witnessed it then.
Okay.
But I didn't know it was called that. This was high school. This was a class for high school. Wilderness recreation.
oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we did the entire Moose River 5 days.
Well,
You probably saw some River
As
Madness.
Billy said, nature is the equalizer.
I saw. I did see some River Madness.
It will reveal
selection.
the madness.
Explain for the listeners, Tenge,
I wanna know.
what River Madness is, and what
it's
how we get there.
Where does it start? What happens in the middle, and then how does it like?
So I'll set it up for you like this.
End out.
So as we've all been talking, today about like, expectation. You go out and it's like, oh, I'm going to go out into the great beyond. I'm going to do this and it's going to be epic. And you see all our cool photos of like me and Daniel and Jack, and we're catching fish and bows and big kings and the bend and the thing and sunny days. And it's like you go out there and it's like 35 degrees and raining and just you're getting your ass kicked. And those are the first 2 days or whatever the case may be. And then like, you're finally getting down. Okay, it's getting sunny and this and that, whatever. And then like 2 days in, I give people like 2.5 days.
That's what he said. By the third day, you know.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing with.
Well, there's no social media. Maybe you got a movie on your phone. Maybe you got a little solitaire, some game, or you listen to podcasts or do whatever you do.
The vape pen died.
Yeah. But, or you ate the wrong cookies. You ate the wrong cookies.
Or you ate the wrong cookie.
So breakfast cookies one year. This poor girl, French chick, ate 2 of Kenji's cookies for breakfast.
Shit.
And we were posted
No
up there
idea.
for no
Not
idea.
an experienced
Zero.
edible.
No.
Zero.
Oh,
And
meltdown.
we were like 7-8 hours at this
50,
island, Caribou
Probably
Island,
50
waiting.
gram. Now that I look back,
Oh yeah.
probably a 50.
Meltdown.
Just hit a 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what did we do as friends who had barely known this person, but now she's married to our friend. So great person. So we take 2 cookies each ourselves and decide to also descend into madness.
You thought that was going to help her?
No,
We'll try it out together.
now that I look back at it and I talk about it openly, it's really, we were trying to be selfish and kill time ourselves. Like we were swimming and showering and running around.
And she's melting down.
Yeah, and we had, I think we had 21 people on that trip.
That was a
year.
huge one. That was probably the biggest trip we ever did.
And so we're sitting there, and what's funny is when we landed there, you know, I had this watch that tells barometric pressure and temperature and all this stuff, whatever, and they always give me shit for it. Oh yeah, what's the weather like today? You know?
You're like,
So I'm
pressure's
sitting
dropping.
there, and I look over and I see this giant, like, you know, took aviation classes and weather and all this stuff. So I see this giant plume go up, and I'm like, that shit's not right. And so, like, that was a huge upward motion, right? Like, and I'm like, okay. And it starts coming and coming. And that spot, I think it was the same trip, there was wind that just whipped through there, and it was
You
beautiful,
said it was
sunny.
laying down the tents, right? It was like
So that was this year's.
Okay.
Last year with my girlfriend, we had to run, and I'm grabbing the tent, and my girlfriend's going to get the other tent that is cartwheeling into the river as it's blowing the shitter tent over everything. I mean, it's
and it was all anchored down.
ripping. Yeah. Yeah, but it's on a sandbar, so let's
Yeah,
be
yeah,
real.
yeah, yeah.
We didn't have like the twisty.
How anchored is it?
Right, like there's no actual anchors, so let's be real. So yeah, anyways, I see this motion. I have this video still on my little cool pics, whatever, and it's
You look at
everyone's
the watch and the numbers just going down.
21 people, and everyone's sitting there, and they're like, and I'm putting rain pants on, like rubber pants. I grab 2 beers, and I sit in a chair, and they're like, oh, you think it's going to rain, Tenge? Torrential downpour. There's 20 people under the tent. I pan around, there's all the rafts. I look over, and here's one cook tent with 20 motherfuckers under it, just huddled, and I'm just drinking beer in the video, like, yeah, it's my going to rain.
Yeah.
And it was over in like 20 minutes.
watch.
Yeah. And it was over in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So anyways, we got great weather after that, and then those crazy winds came through for like 2 seconds. It's like a horror show. It was weird. It's a weird spot for weather.
Yeah.
That whole place is,
Well,
so.
the whole like madness, from what I gather in these
Yeah.
like conversations about it,
Right.
is like just the toll it takes on you.
So,
And then there's like maybe a breaking point
so like we're.
where you
so-
like show your ass, or you lose your cool, or
Right.
you,
Or you fall in the
just,
river
yeah, or
like me.
just, I mean, there's like could be
Realize you could touch
probably
bottom.
there's probably a number of different like outcomes that were from River Madness, but like
so as we build up to River
it's like
Madness,
it just breaks a human being
so
down.
we're in like day 2 or 3. We're at the caribou thing. You're catching tons of grayling. Everyone's, you know, girls, everyone's wiener's hard, right? You've been catching shit tons of fish. The weather's good. You're having fun. You're paddleboarding. You're doing these things. You maybe eat some wrong cookies, and then you go to the falls, right? And that's kind of the build up. Now you go to the buildup of the falls, and you're like, oh, I'm going to go down, you know, falls. If you've never been, you're like, man, it's going to be cool. I'm going to go down this hydraulic. You walk the river.
What
you
river are you guys on?
Gold Canyon.
Okay.
And so you're planning the route. And so if you've never been, it is a little sketch. Like, oh, man. look at
Even if you've been a lot, you're
Yeah.
still like, let's look
Yeah,
at
go
this
see
year.
that thing on the right.
Yeah, right. And so like there's, you know, the cliff on the right and all the stuff. And so you're like, oh, okay, I better, you know, do this right and whatever. So you're cruising through that. And then after that, there's a really long day. There's like a 10, 12-hour day, depending on how you do it. And at the end, you pass the weir on the Gold Canna, and you end up at what we call the King Hole, this big bend. So now you go from, I'm catching tons of fish, I'm doing this, and now it's the bow hunters' time, right? And they're just bow fishing on all these rocks. You're going down, you're doing the thing. But it's a 12-hour day. And so for some people who are just not okay in their own minds, start going like, and you know, I mean, you got infinite sunlight. So like, there's no real, like,
There's no gauge in
shade.
time.
there's no
There's
gauge.
There's no gauge in time.
Yeah. Have you watched that show where those guys kidnap each other and put them like out in the desert and other shit? They took this guy, this avid hunter, outdoorsy guy, and they took him and they put him in like Norway or Sweden or something, like above the Arctic Circle.
Oh, I
so he
did see
couldn't
that.
tell
What time it was.
time it
because
was.
of the goddamn sunlight.
And he's
Yeah.
carrying around this, he's a big, beefy man. He's carrying around this big ass shell thing, whatever it was, and that's what he used to float down the river. But like, he couldn't tell what time it was, so he couldn't sleep, he couldn't get rhythm, and it messes with you. So these guys start descending into madness. So usually I either go way in the back or I go way in the front.
And people get separated on that day.
Right. And so you don't see people for a while. And so I do that because I get everyone asking me like, hey, where, you've been on the river. Like,
Did we pass it?
is that it?
We passed the pullout?
Are we there yet?
Just want to get off his boat.
Oh, that looks like a good place to camp. You mean with like the 40 horse flies and the pigtails and the shit and the bear? No. It's just like boulders. I'm like, they're just giving up, right? They're like, I will sleep on anything to like
Get out of this boat.
Yeah, just get to where we're going. And you're kind of soggy a little bit. But so one time, our buddy descended really dark into river madness, and he's like, I just can't take it anymore. And our buddy CJ throws this beer at him, and it was like pretty much empty. It was a Coors Light or something, and it hits him right in the lip, and he's bleeding, and he just lets it bleed, and he's like, damn, CJ's got the river madness. The madness has got him now, and he's descended in. And like, we're all laughing and we're drinking and having fun. I mean, hour 12, let's be real, right? You're into some sodas or some weed or you're into something.
Oh, you've done it all, dude.
Like,
you got hammered, sobered, ate lunch, got hammered again, and you're back.
Yep. Old Tom passed out with his sandwich, woke up. Oh, it's a sandwich. Just starts eating it again, like he's like micro napping without knowing he's micro napping, right? And just wakes up, keeps oring, that kind of shit happens, and there's some spots where like it's been pretty shallow some years, and you're dragging. So now you're working and you're dragging, you're sweating, kind of like Toke Dawson. You're sweating. You don't even know it, and you're losing those calories, and you're starting to like really mentally descend, and
I think those clear, blue, sunny, hot days makes the madness come out worse than the rain.
Way worse.
It just sucks the life right out of you.
Dude, you're just soaking it in.
I'm a straight up
hour,
white
like 9.
Just like, turns you into a fucking zombie.
Well, then you're sunburned and you're itching.
Oh, all of it.
And if there's no wind, thank God there's wind, because if there wasn't, the bugs are on your ass, and it can be really miserable.
Sounds like a really fun experience, man.
It actually is most of the time. Not all the time. Ask Jack about when he took his lady and it like pissed rain the entire time and it was cold.
Like,
well, we went on one rain.
Oh,
but that was
the sand steaks.
Yeah,
they dropped. Homeboy passed out cooking and dropped the sand or the steaks, the ribeyes in the sand, and we just rubbed them right off with the water and sand steaks and just kept going. Yeah. So, anyways, you get to this place. So once you pass
Trail
the weir, you're like, okay, now we're like closer, but closer to them is like 5 minutes. It's like Anchorage, 15 minutes any direction, you're across town. No, you're like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And
it's a long.
Yeah.
It's like the slowest part.
So one year we come around the corner.
Daniel Rowe.
Yeah. Well, we came around the corner and we got to this place, and there's these big ass logs because a tree had fell over the hole. And so we get there first, and I was like, dude, these logs, like, these are just going to like cause snags and this and that. No one's going to move these things. So I put the straps on them and I start like towing them up like, some like winter, workout that I'm like, oh, I'm towing these things, man. It's like man time. So we pull the thing up, and Johnson, I think, had brought a chainsaw. So we're bucking stuff and doing this and making this fire. We make this fire that's like, I have slow motion videos. It's like 25 feet up, and it's on a big beach. There's nothing to catch fire. So Daniel decides he's going to.
No, that was my river madness. Yeah, the first thing.
Yeah. So Daniel succumbed to the madness, and I think you were doing something off the side of the boat or something.
No, I had a very long day.
Do you want to tell it or?
Yeah, well, very long day. Me and my brother. And all of it, dude. The drunk, the sober, the shrooms, the boom. And we're just having a great time. And I'm like, he's oaring. It's my turn to like fish, and I'm like leaning on the back of the boat, like, because you just have to pee while you're moving, dude. There's no stopping every time you got to pee. No. I should be there all day. So I'm like leaning on the side, and he hits a rock, and I just go bloop, right in, dude. Just right into the water.
Pants down.
Pants down, full front flip, dude, right into the water, just like, and I just get up, and I'm like, I stand up, and I'm like, Carlos just laughing, dude, just laughing so hard, and he's like, I don't know, 100 yards down, and it's about to be a bend to the right, and I'm like, I got to get back. We're the last ones, because we were the last ones, right?
I think you were.
I think we were in the last place. I was like, there's no way, I gotta go. And I just go and I just dive in the river, dude. I was like, this is the only way. I dive in the river and I just start swimming, dude. Just
Not gonna catch it.
I get to like 3/4 of the way and I just like stand up. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. He's like, what's
I
that?
could have just walked across this whole time. My brother's just laughing, dude, just laughing. And I just finally make it to the thing. I had like peed in my waders and all kind of stuff. And he brings me in. But by that point, dude, I'm like hypothermic because the water's freezing, dude. Yeah. And we still had like 30 minutes till the campsite.
Oh, yeah.
It's full change out. He gives me his stuff and I'm just like,
oh, yeah.
So we get to the campsite and by this time I'm just like, madness it out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You can go ahead from there.
So he comes around the corner, and you never saw a fat kid look at a donut so hard. He was so excited to see a 25-foot fire. And I don't know if it was a Colombian in him or not, but he was like literally like 1.5 inches from this fire, and just steam is just bellowing out. He comes up, and we're playing Sauce Kit on the paddle boards, which is like the hockey thing with little nets. It's like cornhole for hockey players or something. So we're doing the thing, and he just like lays on the board, and then like gets up, sits by the fire, and he is like this close to that fire, and it's hot. I mean, it's pine.
25-footer, yeah, dude.
Beef, and he's just
I
steaming.
didn't even know how you could be that close.
Oh, dude, he was so happy too. He's just sitting there like, it's over. The madness is finally over. Like, I'm finally here, and the guy's at a fire. I'm so good. Oh, dude, and he's like trying to take his little neoprene side, and you know, when everything's wet, it's really tough to get some of that crap off.
It's miserable.
And then when you've been wearing it for
Extra
30
sticks.
minutes, hypothermic, and you're all pruny, and it's, dude, rough.
No, I was full hypothermic at that point.
Yeah.
The fire, and I was just like, I got to get to the fire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, dude.
Damn, you're late on it.
We didn't have to go chest to chest like Johnson. That's a story for another time. But hey, you know.
The old skin to skin.
Oh yeah, brought it back. That was high school.
Skin to skin.
Oh,
that was
shit.
back when you could
Chest to chest, though.
Yeah, that was back when you could camp and.
Hey, bro,
Hey,
it's
it's
okay
better
if
than
you-
nuts to butts.
It's okay if you cross
skin to skin.
Is it though? Nuts to nuts? Is better than nuts to butts?
Is it? Oh, yeah.
I don't know, bro.
Just cross your legs, bro. Just cross them to mine.
I don't know.
Yeah, we were partying the backside of Flat Top camping back when you could like still do that without getting arrested. And this is like before. This was right around the time they had police on the hillside. They became part of the. Yeah, it wasn't the troopers. It became part of the.
It, yeah.
Right. And so, you know, there's girls, guys, tents, whatever. And so, you know, he was shaking and cold. So we dragged him in the tent, put him in the bag, and girls, hey, girls, you know, like, come warm him up, right? And so they're all like trying to warm him up. And like a couple minutes goes by and he's still shaking. I was like, oh, homeboy's not coming back. I was like, and I start pulling his like pants and shirt off and all. And I just went chest to chest. And I'm a warm guy. And it took
Run
me
hot?
like it took me 5.
Also a nice guy.
Yeah, it took me
Wow.
like 5-10 minutes to get him back. Like he was from somewhere they're not shaking, and it's like,
So you
whiskey.
you picked up on that he was fucking.
oh yeah,
Yeah, you're getting a hot water bottle from me first before we go chest to chest.
Hey, man,
you know what's
hold this
funny?
up.
You're getting a hot. Put this hot Nalgene in there and zip it up.
You know what's funny about that? That's what he does for his wife. Like he heats up water and he'll put it in the Nalgene. What a smart move! And he puts it in the bottom of the foot
it
and it
works
just
good.
radiates out
Yeah.
and you got
Toasty.
water to drink. It's not
Yeah.
frozen.
No, it works
Well, I
pretty
think
good.
I sold it.
That's a mountaineering. It's a mountaineering
It's a
tip.
great idea. Yeah.
Did I tell a story last time about the Tenge? Actually, I come out at like 6 a.m. and there's only feet
Oh,
sticking outside of the
he's-
canopy, and it's you. I was like, I'm going to pee. I'm like, who's this guy? And you're just full shiver, dude.
Yeah,
And
you
we're
went
talking
put him
about how
in bed,
hard it
didn't you?
is
Oh,
to
yeah.
get a grown man in a sleeping bag.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very hard.
Tangy's not a small guy. Either.
No, dude, like the full, like, drag him in there,
hard.
get him in your tent, put you in the sleeping bag.
Was that the one where
Uncle
James
Canister?
passed out in the chair?
James too. Yeah,
And we were like,
you're in the chair, and he's in the chair, and
chair.
you're like with under the canopy because we had put it down for the wind, and all I see is your feet, and I'm like, oh shit. And so I get James, he was good, but you're just
I was fine.
You're like, I'm good. And I was like, no, you're not.
Oh, dude, yeah. The one year we went to the falls, we were playing poker in shorts and flip flops at like 35 degrees all the way till like it was dark. Like that's how long we were up. And then the Gatorade trick, I bought the Gatorade bottles.
It's like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
We're talking.
and we woke up at like 6 or 7, and it was when Weggy Derek was on the trip, and we look out, and I'm literally looking at him, and he's outside freezing, he's peeing. It's like 7 in the morning. It's cold. It's like 34-ish degrees.
See your breath.
You can see your breath.
Yeah.
Everything's like got like frost and stuff on it or whatever. And Weggy looks out at me, and I was like, how's that wiener? And I just set out my bottle because I peed in the tent, in the nice warm tent, and like set it out. He's like, oh, you. Like, I was like, it's like, you'll learn next year, like it's 37 degrees, bro. Bring those Gatorade bottles. Like
Wide mouth, hopefully.
Yeah, the wide mouth.
Walking out there.
No, dude, it was 14 inches. Like, it's so much power, right? 14 inches.
So deep. 14 inches.
Yeah, I mean,
Check your fucking ruler.
Yeah. Honey, don't drink out of that now, Jim. That's for a different thing. Yeah.
So the madness is real.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
hopefully one day you'll experience
I
it.
haven't experienced it yet.
I've seen this.
I'm gonna go out of my way in every way to not go into the madness.
Oh,
like,
man.
well, yeah.
Does everybody just have to take it? and
Everyone at one
experience?
point. I think it took me 5 years
Yeah.
before it was full
Finally
madness.
gotcha?
Got me, dude.
Some people, you just have to be comfortable being lost sometimes, and not everybody's okay
Well,
with that.
well,
I think I
well,
would have been fine if I didn't fall in.
Yeah.
Well, what did Billy say? The vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it's like kind
brings
of
it brings it out in people. Like,
I kind of call it showing your ass. It's kind of the same.
Yeah.
One and the same.
Chest to chest.
Well, just when when you just go like fully blacked out, hammered, where someone has to care for you.
Oh, yeah.
The whole night, you're just totally subject to their
You're a mess.
care and well-being. Like kind of the same thing. Like it's vulnerable, dude. It's like
I actually
you're like an infant.
I actually had that recently. So me and my girlfriend's first date was a Christmas party. And so I was the Christmas party date. And so, let's have some dates before so we're not the awkward people, whatever. So that was, 4 years ago. And so we went to her Christmas party, and did the thing. And this girl set up the whole thing, was killing it, doing the thing, whatever. Super nice lady. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this podcast. Kidding. She was super nice. And she when you are the planner and you have to do everything and then you don't eat. And then you have a few cocktails or like the Talkeetna Mules or the whatevers or those wines we were talking about. I came right out of work and I went to that birthday party and I had some of those 12% wines. I was gone after like 2 or 3. And so this girl gone, pops, the whole thing, had to take her to the hospital. Like,
she's a planner?
Eyes in the back of her head. Tongue, had to reach in, make sure the tongue was okay, lean her forward. And then I was the only one that could drive. Drove her to the hospital, covered in vomit.
My goodness.
So, anyways, it wasn't, car cleanup was easy, all that stuff. It wasn't bad. It was just, you got to be ready for that. And the drunk people were like, oh, we'll take her to the B&B, we'll take her to this, we'll take her to that. No, a bunch of drunk people do not need to take care of a girl with her eyes in the back of her head and her tongue in her throat. No, we're taking her to the pros. We don't want this to be the last Christmas party that ever gets thrown. Let's just do it right. And we got insurance, whatever, we're adults now. We don't have to go chest to chest in a tent in the backside of flat top, because the whiskey got us. We're 42, 40, whatever years old. Let's keep going, right? Let's use technology.
Well, one thing we learned about Tenge tonight, you can go in the woods with this guy. He'll make sure you get out of there safe.
I know. Tenge rigging is a thing. He's seen it full tilt.
Well, and it's good karma, man. You saved him, and so You never know.
Due for a saving.
Hey, you never know when you're going to need a 25-foot fire, to warm your buddy up.
Oh, man.
We kept that thing going.
I would have
all
got
night.
in there if I could have.
Dude.
Right in the middle.
You look like you wanted to.
Tangy, chest to chest.
Yeah, he looked pretty miserable. I got some pictures. I'll show you some pictures.
I've heard.
Yeah,
I've heard.
I got the pictures of the fire. Him, he's face down on the board. Like, it's great. Yeah, the faces really make it work. So
Falling apart.
yeah, but like when you guys go hunting, you guys meet up, and it's like, hey, here's the route. Here's where we're going. Here's what we plan to do. And I've heard you guys talk about your hunts before.
Yeah, then we rip that up and throw it in the air.
Yeah,
That never
or
works.
you go up the wrong valley, and like I've heard them say, "Well, we
heard
just
about
walked
that
like
one.
5 miles in the wrong damn direction." And that's it's you learn from your failures. But these people are just on a raft or a boat or a thing. They don't know how bad it's going to be.
No, they're along for the ride, so they have zero clue like what it's going to be like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You tell them 12 hours, they don't start a stopwatch. They're just like, "Oh, let me look at the sundial," and it's like, there's
dark
23
now.
and a half hours of sun, so good luck.
Being along for the ride can be like the most fun, loose, like no responsibility to like incredibly miserable.
Are we there yet?
That's not a role I accept very well.
Yeah. We have a few
Being
people
along for a
that
ride.
don't go on the raft trip anymore because of the looseness. Like, with no names, there would be some people that had to like literally get their life jackets tied onto them and slept in full clothes, full waders, full gear the whole trip because we just didn't want them to go in the river unsupervised, and you couldn't supervise them all day. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Sounds
Put a
like
life jacket on their head, just like
Stays on.
I don't think it would have mattered.
just their heads above water, no matter what.
They came a little too loose.
Oh yeah,
Oh man,
yeah.
they were
Sounds like Brock's bachelor party. We floated,
that's how it
the
started.
upper and the lower.
sounds like
Kenai.
we have the Patreon float.
That's actually how it started.
Podcast.
Was
Did you go to Ryan Thompson's bachelor party?
No, but I've been at weddings
where
with
Galen
Ryan
went full.
and-
Galen.
Oh, really? So
He's part of the river crew, isn't he?
Oh, he knows well about River Madness. He was the first time I ever witnessed, actually.
Oh
River
yeah,
Madness.
oh
He's the first case.
Yeah, it's the first case.
yeah. Oh man. Yeah,
Well documented.
I saw Galen out in Talkeetna on New Year's this last year, and like he was with his family, so no madness. But yeah, he gets
He was PG-13?
gets on those
full
the mush,
full
and he gets
possum.
full possum just in the forest on his 20 acres or whatever he's got out there, just climbing trees. Yeah. Hey, I talk a lot of shit about it, but when I was a kid, like that's what we did on the hillside. We would rip around in the middle of the night, chasing like moose and this and that and whatever, and going and just having fun in the wilderness, man. It was great. It was such a fun time, as a child. And like you didn't have any phones or nothing. You just checked in once in a while. That was it. It was awesome. So much fun.
Those days are gone.
Miss it. They are
Yep.
gone.
Sitting in the snow, staring at the stars, man. It was pretty sweet.
Still get that once in a while.
Yeah. I did in Talkeetna. I was just kicking it when it's
Yeah.
clear night.
Get
It's
away
nice.
from those city lights.
Your kids can't though.
Yeah.
They're not.
man. Usually-
They're not going to experience that.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Billy was talking
Pretty
about
hard.
his daughters on the video I watched about the Snapchat streaks. That's why I was giving him shit. Like, oh yeah, like gotta keep that streak alive.
Keep my
right?
streak alive. I ain't killing nothing in Alaska.
Yeah. So crazy, man. Yeah. I know.
Oh man! Well, big shout out to Billy, man, for coming
Yeah.
on, man. Thank you to him, and thank you to Chad and Aaron for coming on.
Yeah, good time, guys.
Yeah, it was fun.
Don't forget, we got the live podcast coming up next Monday. We'd like to have a good show out there. Lots of big prizes. A lot of merch will be out there. Some good beer, some good food.
It's gonna be a good time.
What else we got coming?
That's Palmer Ale House, yeah.
Palmer House,
Nice.
January
Palmer
16th.
House SCI
that's
banquet.
Monday.
We're gonna get involved with the local SCI banquet.
Well, like John Sturgeon said on here when I asked him, like, how did people get involved? Like the average hunter, and he was saying, like, join these organizations that are doing the work to protect what you want to do. So I think it's important for people to show up to these events. Even if you can't show up, sign up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's $35.
Even if you just hear this on the podcast and you can't make it to Ale House and you can't, be part of that, you can also get on the website, look at what it's all about, and make an educated decision if you want to get involved. And if you really are about this, it's just in line with what you most likely believe in, what you want.
And most of these organizations are. I mean, you can support it relatively cheap. I mean, it's $35, right?
Yeah,
their membership.
Spend that on coffee.
Every week, guaranteed. Everyone does. Probably not one person listening that is like, damn.
Well, we're all Alaskans, and it's like, you get free money every year for living here, and it's like I do pick, click, give, I do all sorts of other stuff, and donate, and it's like free money. It's like, I'm gonna go do 5 less fancy coffees in 6 months, and that just donated to this thing for hunger, or this hunting organization, or this thing that I listen to, or whatever the case may be.
Well, we talk about our
spend that at the bar.
Yeah, we talk about our love for our access. Well, it's what BHA is all about. So
public land.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So even if you're not a hunter or a fisherman,
no, it doesn't have.
They're a great organization to support because they are fighting to keep public land public.
Yep.
And that's huge.
Wild land, wild.
Yeah. Fun fact: the way we've ended the show, the last 60 shows, is because Aaron, one night at a hockey game, said, "You know what you should do? You should say this at the end of the show."
That was you, Tenge?
Yeah.
Yep. So why don't you go ahead and hit us with it?
Close it out, baby.
So there was a bunch of variations, but to everyone listening, thank you for supporting these guys. They do a great job, just like the land management guys. Those guys work really hard, and they don't get paid a lot. They do it for the love, just like these guys do. So stay wild, Alaska.
You'll remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit arborcapital.io today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Snow Pro AK, your snow and ice management company specializing in business and residential properties. They know what it takes to keep your property presentable and safe. Give them a call for a free estimate at 280-7098 or visit lawnproak.com. Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
The Alaska chapter of Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. BHA is the voice of our Alaskan public lands, waters, and wildlife. Their goal is to uphold our hunting and fishing legacy while keeping our public lands wild. Stand up today and join BHA at backcountryhunters.org.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly.